Yo, everybody, welcome to Shred Sessions. I'm here with a longtime friend, mentor, guitar builder, Pittsburg, Chicago, LA guy, who's now in Chicago, but Frank Pasquale, everybody. How you doing, man?
Hi. I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here. It's a long time. We were just talking before this all got started. A long time this has been coming. You and I have had many a session where we talked in person for 2.5 hours about nothing, so I can't imagine how well this is going to go. This is going to be a good time.
No, man, I think a lot of people will enjoy this one. If you like guitars, if you like gear, guitar building, if you like cool stories about LA, and you went to MI, right?
I did go to MI.
Yeah, so we're going to hit all of that stuff. Frank is a Gen Xer. I would put you in that category. But we've been friends for a long time, man, since I was around age 16. And
yes.
I'll just kind of briefly tell the story from my perspective, and then I'll let you chime in. But so I grew up in St. Charles, Illinois. For anybody that doesn't know, it's a suburb of Chicago, kind of on the west side. And I was going to a church called First Baptist Church of Geneva. And there's this guy he's kind of a bodybuilder guy. His name is Dave Bauer, and he was playing a really beautiful Ibanez guitar at a worship service one Sunday. And I walked up to him and just asked him some questions about his guitar. And he said this guy named Frank Pasquale built him this guitar. And I got Frank's phone number on my Nokia brick phone at the time. And I was like, I got to meet this guy. So I very distinctly remember calling you maybe like a few days later or a week later, just asking you about these kind of Ibanez guitars. And that was like a dream guitar look to me, that kind of USA Ibanez thing. So tell me about what you remember from that time, man. What was going on in your life during that time?
I remember vividly. Dave Bauer was definitely a bodybuilder, fitness guy, but Dave ran a physical therapy shop. He did sports training and that kind of stuff. So he specialized in training athletes. My wife had gotten into a really bad car accident, and she was going to Dave for physical therapy. And the way Dave got that guitar is before he had his studio going, he came over to our house, and I had these guitars on display on my wall, and he fell in love with me, Dave being a guitar player. And I remember specifically how that guitar came to be in Dave's hands. My insurance ran out after 6 weeks, and I was going to have to start paying Dave for physical therapy sessions. And he said, well, you can just give me one of them guitars. And so I gave him that Ibanez guitar. And I said, okay, I'll give you this guitar for like 5 therapy sessions. And, it was I needed it at the time. So Dave took the guitar and he took it to Guitar Center and said, what is the value of this? Because he had no idea, because it was custom built. And we'll get into the whole, how it truly was an Ibanez US Custom shop that was custom built. But
cool.
Dave called me back 2 days later and goes, yeah, I took this guitar to Guitar Center to get it appraised. And I thought he'd be all upset, like he felt I put one over on him. And he goes, here's the deal. I'm giving your wife therapy sessions or physical therapy for the rest of the year. and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you don't have to do that, dude. He goes, no, seriously, like this is a really, really rare custom guitar. And so I remember that's how Dave got it. And then you saw it. And my wife comes downstairs one day. I'm downstairs in the Mojo Lounge practicing my guitar. And she goes, Dave Bauer knows this 16-year-old kid that really loves that guitar, and he wants to talk to you about building one. And I said, okay, well, 16-year-old kids usually don't have a bunch of money, but I'll listen. And she goes, at the very least, maybe you could give him guitar lessons. And I was like, okay, I'll meet with the kid. And I never forget the day you came down, spry young kid, all eager, like you were off to find the wizard, right? You came down to my shop and we started talking. And we talked about building you that first guitar, which we actually built out of Warmoth parts. It was the first guitar I ever built.
I'll grab it in a second. But you're describing. So hold on. Let me, go ahead. Well, let me.
I'm gonna accent my story. So at the end of the day, you and I talked, and we talked about building that Warmoth guitar, and you were working at Subway, and you're going to save all your money, and you're going to get all the parts. And it's one of those, I promise I'm going to get all the parts, right? So at the end of the day, I go back upstairs, and Funzel goes, so you think you're going to give that kid lessons? I said, no way. He's already beyond where I ever was as a guitar player. I may have him give me guitar lessons before this is all said and done, because maybe you know, maybe you don't. Young 16-year-old Drew Creel was a Steve Vai, Joe Satriani obsessed shredder at 16, to where I just went, why do I even bother trying anymore?
Oh man, I could have learned a lot from you theory wise, though. I think you had your theory background and probably some picking stuff too, because you come from more of the thrash school. And I had no idea about thrash metal. You know,
I could teach you how to down pick. That's what I had down. I practiced the James Hetfield downstroke.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I was on the search for the Holy Grail, and the fact that I bumped into you, or you know, even came into the same sphere of influence as you, was just a miracle, and I'm grateful to God to this day for that, man. That was just so
amen
cool.
to that. And I'll never forget it, man. When my wife had that really bad car accident and she broke her neck and she had to go for 3 months to learn to walk all over again, that was our welcome to Illinois. That was within 2 months of being here. And I just remember that was the worst time in our marriage and in our lives. It was one of those things where I'm like, God, how could you possibly do this to us? And out of that came friendship with you, came friendship with Dave Bauer. So many blessings came out of that trying time. And so I'm equally as grateful. I'm honored to be not just on your podcast, but to be considered a friend. Absolutely.
Oh, man. That's awesome, man.
And then fast forward to where you and Christian Colabelli get together. Christian and I met through totally unrelated circumstances, and now here you guys are jamming together. And I cannot think of two of my favorite guitar players that I'd rather put together in one scenario. So God works in mysterious ways, that's for sure.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's been really cool having Christian around here, and just to have a friend that's kind of around my age, that's serious about guitar, and takes himself seriously and has a good work ethic. And I mean, every time we hang out with Christian, man, it's a great time. And he brings over a bottle of wine. He shows up with steaks. He's a generous person. He's not just, what can I get from this guy, or what can this guy help me with? Which a lot of musicians 100%. Do that. In Nashville, I mean, I'm sure from LA, it's like you meet another musician and it's like, what can I do with this musician to get to the next level?
How can I use them or steal from them or take their ideas?
Right.
No, he's not that way. It's funny because I love Christian like a brother. We've had many conversations before I built him his guitar, many afterwards, and I have never met him in person. It's always been one of those unique things where it's like one of the coolest guys ever, a truly humble virtuoso, absolutely. But I've never met him. We've only talked over the phone, over video, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the guitar community is kind of special in that way where if you're into the same stuff, you might not live close to somebody, but you can get them on the phone. I mean, I have so many fond memories of talking to you on the phone for hours, man, about guitar stuff or life stuff. But now everything's on the internet, and so I'm trying to. That's what's been fun about the podcast is people that I haven't really been around for years. I can get them on the show and talk, and we can kind of reconnect. And it's just been such a joy to do that lately. I'm glad we're doing this, man. And real quick, I can grab that guitar that you built for me and talk about it.
By all means, we can talk about the Warmoth special.
So my first job was working at Subway sandwiches in Wasco, Illinois. And I think I started with the body, right? I got like $500 together to get this 5A top, 5A maple top,
Yep. I just remember it all showing up at once. I remember the body and the neck all showing up at once, and then we got busy.
The neck is, this is 22 fret. This is what they call the soloist model that they sold.
The arch top soloist, the carved top soloist.
And, back in the day on Warmoth's site, you could pick pretty much any regular body style, but then they had a few other kind of wild card options. But I was going for that super strat thing at the time, just a souped up like Satriani, Vai, Petrucci kind of thing. And there's the Pasquale headstock.
Man, I remember you and I must have talked for 2 hours on that wood combination. We talked about how thick to get the top, why you wanted a carved top over a bent top, why you wanted the ebony fingerboard. I mean, dude, we went into details.
Yeah.
Before anything was ever done.
I was really into the Tonewood thing, man. And rightfully so. And you had your own kind of vibe with guitars at the time, that old world kind of finish.
Yes, that guitar. Yep, that is. I call that the old world guitar finish. What is that? A screw in there right above the pickup?
Yeah, I put a MIDI pickup in here at one point, which is a total abomination, right? But I was like, well, there's enough going on.
Yeah,
on this guitar. I can sneak a MIDI pickup in there, and could probably get those filled though if I want.
Nah, let it be. It's character now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember we talked about the old world guitar finish, which was a finish that I created. And man, it was Stuart McDonald master gel and lemon oil layered, and so it's really, really super thin, almost like a violin type finish that I put on there. And I remember I didn't have the reason you bought that from Warmoth, and I didn't even cut my own bodies at the time, but you bought that from Warmoth, and I didn't have a spray booth or anything. And I just love that. I love the resonance of that raw wood finish. And, my very first guitar I ever built, still to this day, doesn't have a finish on it. And it's caked with sweat and grime and beer. And I'm sure there's some puke thrown in there. I mean, it's just disgusting, right? And I wanted a finish that would penetrate the wood, but not cover it up.
Yeah.
And that's what that is. And it's microscopic thin. I mean, it's rubbed into the pores, and it's barely a layer that's on top of it.
Yeah. This guitar has a really unique sound. It's almost like a Les Paul, man. I swear, just with how
dude, you got the mahogany. You got the mahogany with the big top. That is a Les Paul combo right there. It just looks like a Strat.
Yeah. So this guitar is incredible. A couple years ago, I got the big brass block from Floyd Upgrades.
Yeah, I get all those too.
And I wish I could do it to every guitar, but it's kind of pricey, man. It's like $300 or $400 for a bridge setup. Well,
you bought the whole bridge. The block should only be like $40, $40 or $50.
I guess I could just put the block on, but I wanted to just go ahead and get a whole new bridge. But
did you get titanium saddles in there?
I got titanium saddles. That's
where your $400 went.
And then I think the screws on top are titanium. But yeah, this is now my D standard guitar, which I don't play a lot in D standard. Maybe I should put this in a different key, or a different tuning, but it just has a unique sound,
Does your bridge still float, or did you lock it down?
Man, I don't lock anything down, baby. It's dive bombs for life, man. I'm never doing that, man.
No. Does it go sharp, or did you block it so it only goes flat?
Oh, it goes sharp, man. Yeah, it goes up. Yeah. Not super far. It's maybe a step and a half,
that's all you need.
All you need, yeah. So yeah, I'll put this one down, and then I'll grab another guitar that you built in 2011 for me, and we'll talk about that.
Is that the Beef?
Yeah, it's a Beef. I was actually last night. I took a lesson with there she is.
There it is.
Carl Sanders from the band Nile. We did a call kind of like this, and this guitar is now in the Nile tuning. And so you built this for me in 2011 when I was getting ready to go on tour with Skies, this metalcore band.
Yep.
And I can't. Did you source the body wood for this, the Paduk?
I believe I did, yeah, because I remember I sourced the wood somewhere, and I remember telling you, I go, Drew, this is 2 inches thick, right? Because typical guitar body is 1 3/4 inches, and I just remember it came in. It was supposed to be 1 3/4 inches. It showed up 2 inches thick, and I said, Drew, why don't you keep this 2 inches thick and see what happens? Because Paduk is I love the tone of Paduk. It's just got this punch to it. And I said, we'll just keep it 2 inches thick. And then I carved out the route in the back so you can still make it feel like it was a standard guitar. But that one there's got some muscle to it. But that's not the neck that I built. That's an Ibanez neck on there now.
We converted it to a baritone. Unfortunately, I think that was like maybe the first neck that you built, man. And it was just the playability of it wasn't the greatest. It was just a. Yep.
I have some of those too. I tracked down what the problem was because I've got some of those where after 2 years, like I couldn't get him to go straight anymore. Even with the truss rod cranked down, I couldn't get him to go straight. And I realized the woods I was sourcing because I'd go buy my own, I'd hand pick my own woods. I just had to make sure I bought quarter sawn and not flat sawn wood. So some of the early woods I got were the wrong grain type, so they just didn't hang.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, I gave those guitars away to friends that don't really play, so they don't know. They just hang on somebody's wall somewhere.
Come on, man. You've built some exquisite guitars, though, over the years. And, yeah, like at some point, I might route this out for a Floyd, man. I don't even know if it's possible. It might be too thick, but you could see they've doweled the... they had to move the bridge back, a little bit
to make it a baritone. Yep.
I mean, with these pickups, I got to get you hip to the Avidesian pickups, man. They're wonderful. You would love them, man. The rail splitter is what I've got in this guitar, and it just screams. They're higher output pickups, and then I got these. These are like custom radiator covers. They kind of look like
they look like a radiator.
Yeah, like an old car or something like that. I thought that was cool.
Here, sit tight. I'm gonna go grab a guitar. Hold on.
Yeah. And for anybody watching, I can play. I can play this one for you. Yeah, there it is. Is that the brother of this guitar?
This was the inspiration for that wood. So this was I made a lot of guitars, and prior to this guitar, this is the first body that I ever cut by myself from scratch. Right. Prior to that, I was farming out stuff. I'd buy a body here. I'd get a Warmoth body there. I'd pick one up. We're going to talk about that red guitar that you have, which I dubbed the guitar that can't be played.
We're getting there. Stay with us.
It was so. I'll stay with you. But those I would buy bodies and source necks, and this was the first guitar body that I ever built. And I bought this beautiful piece of Paduk, solid piece, and knowing what I know now, the flame is on the back. If I knew that, I would have put it on I'd have built the guitar differently. But I paid $90 for this block of wood. And I just remember thinking to myself, if I ruin it, I ruin it. When, I had that analysis paralysis. I thought way too much about it. And then finally I said to myself, you know what? I've thrown away $90 on stupider things. I'm just going to give this a shot. And this was the first guitar I ever built. And, I cut it all, routed it. Didn't have a workbench, hand router. I bought some, just guitar building templates, and I bought the RG shape, and then I modified it a little bit, but it's basically an Ibanez RG shape. And I remember cutting it, bandsawing it. I went out, bought bandsaws. I bought all the tools I needed, and I said, I'm going full bore for this. And I'll never forget it because it's a redwood, and it sands. When you sand, the dust is like pink, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember I'm in the basement. I got the goggles on. I got a piece of plywood over some sawhorses, and I'm routing this body. And there's just dust everywhere. And I look up, and all the drain pipes in my basement, I've converted a little spot in my basement for my workshop, just layers of pink dust. And then I look over on the washing machine. There's a pile of folded white laundry. It's got just big dust all over it.
Oops.
And I'm like, sorry, honey, we'll have to do that laundry all over again. But then I played it, and the guitar just had so much punch. That Paduk just has such a unique sound to it. And then I put this rosewood neck on it, and that was where I started chasing Tonewoods, right? Like I'd experienced your standard, maple with your rosewood and your garden variety. But when you really started picking into Tonewoods, like you could notice a definite difference, even with your familiar pickups, right? Like I was using EMGs back then. I used to have Seymour Duncans because I really loved the JB. But you start noticing different tonal characteristics and tonal, I don't know. I just call it the mojo, right? It's the right combination. Keith Richards was quoted as saying the best guitar tone comes from the right guitar and the right amp.
Yeah.
For me, the right guitar wood, it comes from the right combination of woods. And just because you get the same wood doesn't mean that one piece of Paduk is going to respond like the other. They're pretty similar, but sometimes you just get a piece of maple that just doesn't sound good. That's why I like to hand pick all my woods at this place down in Lombard, just so I rest them on my toe and I tap on them to feel what they resonate like, to see if it's going to have a good vibration characteristic. So anyway.
Yeah, man. I don't know if, can you hear this?
Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah. Some good like pick attack with the Paduk, you know.
Yep.
So, yeah, man.
Right, hold on. I'm gonna go put this back before I bang it around. This is the one guitar I've only played this. I've never played it live. I've only played it in the studio a few times. It's one of those ones that's just like, it's such a rarity. I don't ever like to bang it around.
I think that was on your website, like back in the day, right? Like that was like the landing page. Was that guitar?
No, I think that was this one. I think it was another one. It was called the California Gold. It had that really gorgeous gold yellow flame maple top on it.
You still have that one?
Yeah, I do. That's at my rehearsal studio. I use that for I use that for the band. I'll tell you a funny story about the actual band I'm in right now. We can go down that rabbit hole. We'll talk more about that later, but I put it this way. When I first met you, if I could fast forward to now, I would kick my own ass. I'll put it to you that way.
In what way would you kick your own ass?
I'm in a 90s cover band playing all the songs that I hated for 20 years.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly how. Wow. Hang on a second. I'm going to put this one back.
Yeah. I'll do the same with this guitar. And,
all right, we're back.
So, should we talk about the guitar that can't be played?
We can talk about the guitar that can't be played, or we can talk about the Revelator 8-string that I built you. I wondered whatever happened to that.
Oh yeah, it's right here.
That probably has a new neck on it now too.
It doesn't have a new neck on it. I've kept it the way that you built it.
Oh yeah,
it just has higher action. You know, a little bit higher action than
you like.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. It's more of a doom machine where you can play sludgy, slow stuff. But yeah, this is a cool guitar for sure.
I remember building that thing. I remember building it thinking, I have no idea how to play 8-string guitars. I just remember building it going, okay, this all the physics works out. I just hope it's right because I have no idea how to play it.
Yeah, it's got a Wenge fingerboard, or Wenge or whatever, however you say that word.
It's Wenge.
Is that's it?
With the red dot inlays, the Paduk dot inlays.
Yeah, that's a cool look, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I had to buy a plug cutter to cut those. I had to cut it. I cut it from the same wood that the body was made out of. And definitely a cool guitar.
The neck is Macassar ebony.
Oh my gosh, that's right. You bought that gigantic block of Macassar ebony.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm having flashbacks now. I remember that thing. That wood is so freaking dense. It's like cutting rock, dude. I burned through bandsaw blades.
Oh my God.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if this is the type of wood cut that you would build a neck out of or want to, but we did.
No.
You know?
No. In fact, I remember telling you that because, at one point I talked to Mike Lipe, who we're going to get into here in a minute. I said, Mike, what do you know about this wood? I want to make a neck out of this. And he goes, no, you don't. He goes, you'll ruin all your tools. Yeah. Ultimately, it's the kind of stuff you make a fingerboard out of because it has brightness to it, but I don't know if I'd make a whole neck out of that. I don't know if I'd go through that again because that was an absolute nightmare.
Well, thanks for trying, man.
Hey, man. Well, that was the beauty of the art of building guitars is, go back to like talking to you or Christian Colabelli. Before I ever picked a piece of wood or cut a piece of wood, I picked your brain about exactly what you wanted. I went round and around with Christian on his guitar. What exactly are you trying to accomplish with this, right? And that's where the art of it comes in, is getting into the head of the artist, right? You're the one that's going to play it. It doesn't have to play right for me. It's got to play right for you. And so you told me you wanted it. I'm like, I've never done it. I'll build it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I think the learning takeaway from that, for me, is there's a reason why a lot of guitars are made with like quarter sawn maple necks.
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
where the grain is going in a certain direction. And we've got
I got to
this
be honest.
swirly, goofy piece of wood that we're trying to force a neck out of, and yeah.
It's not even that. You can take all the exotic woods you want. You can combine them any way. You can make something beautiful, something unique. At the end of the day, there's a reason most necks are maple necks with rosewood or ebony fingerboards. There's a reason most necks are made out of maple. There's a reason most guitar bodies are swamp ash or poplar or something along that line. Is that they're just good overall balanced tones.
Mm-hmm.
You think about a Fender Strat that you see today, not counting the custom shop, it's the same guitar that was made in 1959, basically. Same body, same layout, because it's such a versatile guitar. I mean, Strat goes, Steve Vai started on a Strat, Yngwie started on a Strat, Stevie Ray Vaughan plays a Strat. It's such a broad spectrum of sounds that it can be covered. When you start getting into exotics, you really need to dial it in for the sound you want and realize that's probably all you're going to get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, well said, man. Yeah, and it took, like, I really wanted something interesting and exotic. I love the look of that dark, guitar neck. That's real wood, It's kind of a special thing to have an item like that. So, and I'll 100%. Have that guitar forever. I don't plan on changing it. We'll just keep it the way it is, and I can still make music with it. It's just gonna. Right. I when it comes to like shredding on stuff, you have to get the guitar dialed in with certain millimeters of action. 100, right? Dude,
I get you. Dude, look, I got all these guitars behind me on the wall. Right, I went on this tear in 2020. I bought all these old Kramer guitars because that was the guitar I learned to play on. And of all of these, there's one that I have set up that just for some reason plays exactly the same way. And these are all identical. They're all from '85. They're all from the same, blanket of time. Mm-hmm. And out of all of them, there's one that just has the mojo. You know what I mean? Yeah. And because you got to dial it all in. And I really honestly believe that is because I play that one more than any of them. And so when you first start doing that, you go through this tinkering phase. I'm going to raise this. I'm going to raise that. I'm going to shim under the bridge on the G string to get it the right height. And when you finally get it there, it's like, I'm just going to play that one because I know it has it all together. I don't feel like doing that for 13, 14 different guitars. But once you get it dialed in, you just want it for that specific purpose.
Mm-hmm. Well, dude, I really want to talk about this guitar.
Let's go. Let's dig into it. We're going to,
and I'll start off by, just saying, everybody that's asked about this guitar, like, thanks for your interest in it. And thank you to everybody that checked out the Eric Rutan lesson video and some of the playthroughs. I've done probably 5 or 6 playthroughs with this guitar in different tunings, but I've had this guitar since 2010, but I think Frank had it Frank built this guitar in the early 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it would have been 97ish, late 90s, I think.
So let's get into what this is. It's a single pickup Ibanez RG body with an Ibanez USA custom. I'll remove this. Custom.
It's an Ibanez US Custom shop guitar in every sense of the word.
Yeah, it has a serial number on the back. This is like one of the thinnest, most playable necks that I've ever owned, and honestly, the action is perfect pretty much on the entire guitar. The really, really high upper frets, I need to do a bit of an adjustment up there, but this is a riff machine, and it sounds so awesome, man. With an old school 81 in the bridge, it's just like people talk shit
and an original Floyd
all the time. Yeah, and this original Floyd, which I'd love to get a big block for this one too at some point. Maybe I will. I think there's plenty of room in there for something like that. But yeah, Frank, walk us through the history of this guitar, man. Like, what is this abomination?
Right. This abomination, as you put it. I had this for years. This was another one, just like the Paduk guitar that I just showed you earlier. This was dubbed the guitar that can't be played. And this guitar has a very, very significant history, or a very important part of my guitar building history. This was the first quote-unquote guitar I ever made.
No kidding.
Serious, like professionally. I have one guitar that I still have buried away in a closet somewhere called The Log. The log
Yeah.
was an original Charvel Model 1 that accidentally fell down a flight of stairs and broke. It's a different story altogether, but I just ordered a new body, and then you realize that fender bodies and Charvel necks are different. So that was a hack job. That was a butcher job. This was the first guitar that I ever built. And this traces back to a guy named Mike Lipe that I met in Chatsworth, California. So Mike, you may or may not know, was the original LA guitar doctor. He ran a shop in Burbank, and it was where anybody who played in Hollywood would go to get their guitars tweaked. Mike got approached by Ibanez Guitars in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Ibanez was interested in starting a U.S. custom shop. The reason they were doing that, they were designing the Steve Vai model, the Satriani model, the Paul Gilbert model. Prior to this, I mean, if you look up the Ibanez like Roadstar, right, it was just a cheap Strat copy. Like Ibanez wasn't the shred machines you've always known.
Not exactly the best aesthetically designed instrument, right? I mean,
no, it was,
but
it's like they had to make a Strat as ugly as possible so that no one would care if they copied it. It's pretty much what their design aesthetic was. So Steve Vai comes on. Steve Vai decides he wants to work with Ibanez, and he was dealing with Ibanez in Japan. And there's the whole story about how the gem started. I'm sure you can watch countless videos on all that. Then came Satriani, because those two were always a pair because they had such history together. Then came Paul Gilbert, and then came guys like Frank Gambale and a whole bunch of other seasoned artists. They're all playing these new Ibanez guitars that went from this ugly. You had two choices in Ibanez. You had black with a white pick guard or white with a black pick guard. And then all of a sudden Steve Vai comes out, and there's neon green and there's neon pink and there's neon yellow. And it was a total renovation of that guitar line. Mike Lipe was part of that. Ibanez came in and bought out the U.S. Custom shop, or they bought out they bought out the guitar doctor, turned his shop in Burbank into the Ibanez U.S. Custom shop. And that meant that guys like Satriani and Vai, if they wanted something done to a guitar, they could go see Mike and they could have it tweaked. And he would tweak it. He'd shave the necks. He'd just basically dial it in for them, get the prototype they wanted. And then he would say, this is going to be the new production model. This is blessed by Paul Gilbert. Paul Gilbert was one of his big guys he worked with. And so was John Petrucci. This was when Petrucci was just coming in with Dream Theater. And he was making, I don't know, it was like an RG. His first guitar was an RG long before he was with Ernie Ball.
Is this before the 7-string stuff like was going on with Vi, or like around the same time? Or
if you remember when the 7-string came out, I want to say that was 91 when the 7-string first made its appearance. It was not well received, right? Yeah. It was not, because it had a Floyd on, or had the Ibanez Edge, and it was a unique niche in a shredder market. The 7-string did not take hold until those guys from Korn got it and tuned it down and beat the hell out of it. That's literally when the 7-string became popular. So this would have been around the time that Horn was getting a hold of the 7-string, when the Steve Vai audience was not impressed with it, right? So anyway, they buy out the custom shop, and Mike is working there. And then all of a sudden, now fast forward, this was early 90s. By 96, 97, the 7-string stopped becoming the shredder guitar and became the D-tune down to B flat and play the F sharp position for 45 minutes and then call that an album kind of thing. So Ibanez closes the U.S. Custom shop. They just sent him a note and said, hey, we're closing down the U.S. Custom shop. If you want a job, you have to move to Japan. And Mike's like, I own my house. I had a business before you guys got here. I'll have a business after you guys get there. So they closed down the U.S. Custom shop. At that point, Mike starts becoming like a free agent. He starts designing some of the Yamaha Pacifica guitars. So most of the major brands know who he is. So he does freelance work on the Yamaha Pacificas, does a bunch of jobs with what's the company? I can't remember their name right now. They're famous for their like 7-string, or their dobros, not their 7-strings. I can't remember that.
Deering?
No, it's like Freeze. I can't remember it. I'm drawing a blank. I'm getting too old. No, it wasn't Fernandez. It was some off-brand name. It was a Zemitis. He was working with Zemitis guitars, but he was just a freelance guy. So fast forward now. my aspirations for music career is over, right? This is late 90s. I was in LA and I went to MI in 91. I was in a metal band. I wanted to be in a metal band. Grunge broke. I despised everything about 90s music moving forward, which is ironic because, as I said, I'm in a 90s cover band, which is the ironic part. And I just got a job. I got a job driving a truck. So I'm doing a delivery in Chatsworth, California, and I'm dropping off some industrial cleaners to a shop, to a tool store. And as I'm leaving the parking lot, I drive past these bays, these just industrial bays, just roll up garage doors. And it's 98 degrees in LA and the doors are open and fans are blowing. And I'm driving by and I look inside and there is just racks and racks of guitar bodies and guitar necks just hanging there.
Dude, what?
And I'm like, I just stop and I walk in there and I go, what is this place? And it was the home of Wilkins Guitar Finishes. Pat Wilkins was the guy that paints. He just does painting for ESP. He does like the custom work. So he painted all the James Hetfield Explorers that had the
he's
plate
like
steel on.
He's a well-known figure in guitar finishes.
He's big, dude. So I stumble in there, and here comes Pat Wilkins, as humble as can be. What can I do for you? And I'm just like I'm Alice in Wonderland that just fell down the rabbit hole. What is this? And he starts telling me this, and I said, I build guitars. I said, I built a guitar. So this is how it all started. So remember the log I was telling you about, the unfinished guitar that has all the gunk in it? So I said, hey, I build guitars. I got this guitar I'd like to get finished. How much would you charge me to finish this guitar? And he told me some astronomical numbers, like $900, because, that's Pat's way of saying, I don't just talk to guys off the street, right? So then he says, well, if you like building guitars, I got a guy you need to meet. And Mike Lipe is working at Pat Wilkins. Pat has the contract to finish the Yamaha Pacificas, and Mike was hired as a subcontractor to build them all to spec. So he puts them all together, assembles them, and sends them off. So I strike up this friendship with him, and he says, yeah, you like building guitars. If you have this guitar, why don't you bring it to my shop and I'll take a look at it? So the whole plan was just give Mike the guitar I built and say, look, I don't know if this is right. Can you show me what I did wrong? And we started this friendship where, he'd be like, well, it needs a fret job. And this was classic. This was my salesmanship in motion. I go, how much is a fret job? And he goes, I'll do it for $200. I said, I'll give you $300 if I can watch. I just want to watch. I want to see what you do. And he's like, okay, but you can't talk, right? Don't bother me when I'm doing it, kind of thing. He was being he was being a total hard ass. I'm like, fine, I'll just sit there. I won't say a word. So I take take the log over to Mike's shop, and he starts telling me everything that I did wrong. The bridge is in the wrong place. This is wrong, and that's wrong. And he's going to do the frets, and then we're going to talk about everything else that needs to be fixed. So I'm sitting there watching it. I'm literally like 10 feet away, like don't even get in his presence, kind of thing. And within 5 minutes, he's like, all right, come over here. And he sits me down and he walks me through step by step by step.
Oh, so he actually was like really kind.
He was one of the nicest human beings I ever known. The guy had a heart bigger than the earth. I'm telling you, he was that nice of a guy.
Wow.
He was just playing hard ass because he wanted to see what I was really about. Right.
Yeah.
So little by little, I said, he walked me through that. And then he goes, as I'm leaving that day, he does the fret job. We go through the whole thing. He shows me how to do the polishing, the whole 9 yards. And he goes, oh, by the way, if you like building guitars, I got something I want to show you. I said, okay. He goes into his closet and he pulls out a box full of Ibanez guitar bodies. And then he pulls out a box of Ibanez guitar necks. And that was number one. That was the first one I ever bought. And there literally must have been 20 of them. Right. Wow. And then he pulls out that neck. And I said, what is this? And he goes, these are Ibanez guitar bodies from the custom shop. I said, why do you have them? And he said, well, okay. And this is the part where we kept this under wraps for years because decades. He goes, well, decades. When Ibanez closed the US Custom shop, that was all old inventory that was there. Okay. So all those bodies were sent for somebody. Somebody so-and-so requested this, so-and-so requested that. And so they would send them these blank bodies and blank necks, and he would shape the neck. And in particular, and we'll get into a lot of them were specifically for John Petrucci, because John Petrucci was going through his Ibanez phase. So Mike would shape a neck for John Petrucci, put it on a guitar, and he'd go, no, I don't like that one. And Mike would say, okay, try this one, try that one. Well, all those necks were prototypes that didn't go anywhere, right? So they were all designed for somebody.
They were rejected by God, but they were good enough for us.
That was my point exactly.
Yeah.
So now fast forward, they closed the shop and they said, hey, you got to get rid of, we don't want to ship. We're not going to pay to ship all this stuff back to Japan. Get rid of it. And he goes, what do you mean get rid of it? He goes, well, they told me just to dispose of it, throw it away. And I said, what is it doing here? And dude, this is the part where everybody who plays guitar, everybody who's seen that guitar or loves that guitar is going to freak out when I tell you what I'm about to tell you next. I said, so what are they doing here? He goes, I burn them in the fireplace in the winter. That's how he gets rid of them.
Look at this guitar. This was on its way to the fire pit.
It was on its way to Mike Lipe's fireplace in Tahunga, California.
And Frank Pasquale rescued it.
And I stumble in there, and he goes, if you like building, I have these. And I look at him, and in all seriousness, I go, well, what do you want for these? And he goes, well, bodies are $50, necks are 70.
Oh, man. I don't think I can afford that.
The next sentence out of my mouth, is there an ATM around here? I went and bought 3 of them on the spot. Give me them right now. I'll take them right now. And then it's like, okay, at this point, I'm committed to this, right? And, they weren't all there.
Dude, a body like this on Reverb, unfinished, would probably be like $900.
Yeah.
If it's like a new old stock or something like that.
I mean, look at the top on that, though. That top is not a veneer. Right, that is a full-on that's like a half-inch top.
Yeah, that might be
you can see it right there in the quilt. That's a full half-inch top. That thing is super expensive. So I bought it, and I started this process with Mike of okay, I'm going to build it. What do I do next? So he showed me how to set the bridge. Here's how you set a Floyd. Here's how you make your measurements. I don't know if it was that one, but there was a couple of them that were in they weren't in the best of shape. So he showed me how to pull the frets and put the frets back in. So it was this whole process of me. Every Saturday I'd go there and literally no plan. I'd walk in there and go, Mike, I got $200 cash. What can I learn today? I would give him $200. I'd give him $200. He goes, I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to show you how to do that. He'd walk me through it step by step. And then it was to the point where we became such good friends. He'd go, hey, I found this. I was going through a box and I found some Ibanez pickups. Do you want these? Do you want that? I mean, I got a couple of Ibanez edges for like $20.
Yeah. And
I never used them because I'm not a fan of the edge because I like the Floyd better. But that guitar stemmed out of that. So the kicker was, and this is why it was kept under wraps for decades, was Ibanez thought Mike burned those. Right?
Yeah.
Those are supposed to be gone. And the serial number, I'm sure, could be traced. I don't think anybody's going to care how it all went down. We'll bring it up now because Mike passed away a few years ago. I'll never forget. It was like right before or after Christmas. It was devastating to me. And Mike and I had that friendship. Like, we don't chat on Facebook. We don't catch up on old times. We don't, it was all just guitars. Like, he had such a passion for the guitar, and so did I. And the last time I saw him was in 2013 at the NAMM show. I had built some guitars, and back then I was working with a company called Nordstrand Pickups. Nordstrand is famous for their bass pickups. They're just amazing, right? They're top-notch stuff. They branched out and did a brand of humbuckers. Kerry Nordstrand was trying to break out into the pickup market. And a guy named Pete Chevreau reached out to me and said, would you be interested in demoing some of these? And, I was kind of being a smart ass, and I go, yeah, I got some really, really complicated specifications. And he's like, well, what do you output wise? What do you need? And I go, I want it to sound like a JB, but not so nasally. That was the only thing I told him. Like, I don't know specs. I don't know output. I go, I love the JB, but sometimes it's a little too nasally. So they built me these Nordstrand, I don't know what they were called now. I don't even know if they're still making the humbuckers, but anyway, I built some guitar.
Real quick, this guitar has probably the only 8-string Nordstrand pickup ever made.
That is right? Correct. I remember asking Kerry to build that, and he's like, yeah, okay, give me a minute. That's right. Those are Nordstrand. Those are vintage Hots, if I remember.
Yeah.
But anyway.
They sound awesome. Yeah.
So I built some guitars and I put Nordstrand pickups in it. And Carrie was having a booth at the NAMM show, and they wanted some of their humbucker guitars. So I put some of I sent some of my guitars, and they put them on there at their booth at the NAMM show. And I went out there, and that's when I got to see Mike, and I just got to catch up with him. And he was the kind of guy. I probably hadn't seen Mike for 10 years. The second we saw each other, it was right back where we started from. So when he passed away, I took it hard. I mean, it was one of those things where, the world was a darker place just because he was such an awesome guy.
Yeah, it's kind of part of like the old guard when it comes to like guitar custom shop. He was like one of those custom shop guys, that built for the greats.
And he built by hand. Everything by hand.
He has his own guitars too. He had his own Lipe guitars.
Lipe brand guitars. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a difference. So it's something you bring up. I don't want to sidebar on this too much, but there's a huge difference now. Carvin Kiesel make fantastic guitars. The CNC machine really has done volumes to improve the quality of a reasonably priced instrument, right? Like back in my day, a $300 guitar meant you couldn't play it, right? You had to spend more money on a real guitar.
Right.
Now you can get some pretty decent stuff. It's all CNC made. Is it the best? No, it's not. But it has improved the guitar to the point where you see younger and younger players that are better and better because they have better instruments to learn on, right?
Yeah.
But Mike was of that old guard. Like there was no CNC machine. It was milling machines. It was hand rasps. He taught me how to cut bodies on an overhead pin router that was like from World War II. It was just this old machine. And there was a certain mojo in there. There was a certain fact that every cut, everything made a difference. And that's how I learned. Like I don't know if I could get a CNC machine to do 80% of the pain in the ass work, cutting the body and that kind of stuff, and all the shaping and everything by hand, I would probably be interested in that, but I've never learned that way. I learned bandsaw, hand router, overhead router. That's kind of how I learned, and that was Mike's whole thing. So he really was the old school, and I think that whole generation is gone. Like I don't think you'll ever see a guitar maker that doesn't use some sort of CNC machine. Maybe the Andersons. But like Paul Reed Smith, I mean, that operation is scaled up so much you can't do it that way. That's why Mike's guitars were so valuable, because they were all made by hand. Every single one of them was made by hand.
Yeah, and there's something to be said of that and the attention to detail, and the thing of it is every component matters, with a guitar, right down to like the fret wire that you use, the pickup winding, how it all comes together. Where the wood is it? Are you playing a guitar made out of plywood? Are you playing a guitar made with higher end sourced, like a dried out piece of swamp ash, that's been properly dried for a period of time. So all of these things come together to make a great instrument. And you did a great job on this guitar, man. Talk
thanks,
about
man.
how you actually put it together and then it got finished.
All right. So it was a complete cutout, but there was nothing on it. There was no bridge. There was no pickup route. No, there was nothing. It was just blank. No pickup routes, anything. So I bought the body.
So you're saying the outline of the guitar was cut out.
Correct.
But the bridge and the pickup were not routed.
Right.
Or the control cavity, right? Or
control cavities were done. Yeah. And the Floyd in the back wasn't done, none of that stuff. So the control cavities were routed out because I didn't have the templates for that. But it was pretty much blank. There were no pickups routed whatsoever. No holes. There was no holes drilled through it. I was real particular about where I placed the volume knob because I'm finicky about where that goes. But it was just a total labor of love. I mean, it was a complete infatuation. I remember as soon as I got that, I knew I wanted a Floyd on it. It was already routed for the Floyd because it was intended to have that Ibanez edge on it. So the Floyd nut was already cut. And the next thing I did is I went out and was it LA Guitar Works? I'm on my route and driving my truck, and I stopped in and I bought that Floyd. And I bought that Floyd. It was probably $300 back in the 90s, and nobody wanted it. Like when I bought that Floyd, I'm like, you got a Floyd Rose? And the guy had like 6 inches of dust on it because by this time the Floyd was dead. right?
Yeah.
Whether we want to admit it or not, guitar playing had changed. When Nirvana came around, nobody wanted shred guitars. So I bought this old Floyd that was sitting in the back shop, covered in dust, and I bought it, and I said, Mike, I want to put this on it.
Well, the Floyd
this is what I want to use.
It's been $300 forever. I feel like it's been the same price
I know.
since it came out.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, but I will tell you this, and this may be just me being an old codger. I may be going into Grandpa Simpson land here. I bought all these old Focus guitars on the wall. I have a couple Pacers, a couple Floyd, all these old Kramers with the original German Schallers. They're German Floyds on. They were made in Posterberg in Germany in the Schaller factory. There's a difference. There's something in the metal back from when that generation was made. So I think if they are $300, they're probably making them cheaper. I still think the Floyd's the best on the market. I like the Floyd Upgrades version better because I think Adam's got a really great product. But, as far as the Floyd versus Kaler versus no Floyd, I'll take a Floyd any day. But these older ones, I bought these guitars for $300 and the Floyd's worth $300. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just the parts themselves are special. The other thing I wanted to say is, shred guitars and Jacksons and Floyd Rose and Lock and Trem, it's back bigger than ever, man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I know we've got the 7 strings and the 8 strings and the Evertune bridge, which I just cannot get into the Evertune. That's another discussion. But people love Jacksons again, man. They're I think one of the guitar players in this band called I'm blanking right now. This huge hardcore band. But I guess my point is that Jackson guitars and shredder guitars are showing up in very unlikely places these days, and it's because they're actually cool. Even if you're not in a metal band and you're playing a Jackson, it's that's badass. And that was not the case for probably 30 years, 25 years or so.
Yeah, it really got a bad rap. And for me, it's my main guitar I use right now, I use an old Kramer with EMGs and an original Floyd. And I have a detuner on it. So because of that, I block it so it doesn't go sharp. If you detune, I don't want it to go sharp. So I have the Floyd Upgrade stabilizer on it. And but to me, it solved the universal problem of going out of tune. Right? It's kind of like once you put power steering on a car, you never want to go back and say, I don't need power steering. That's a luxury for nerds. A Floyd that's set up right. And when I'm playing with my band, I don't want to piss around with tuning, right? I want to pull this thing out. I want to play. It's got to be locked in tune. And the Floyd solved that problem. Can the Kaler do it? Can other locking trims do it? Can a basic locking trim do it? Yeah. But there's something about the Floyd. And I think it really, I know a lot of guys that love Kalers because they learn to play on Kalers. It really stems down to what you learn to play on and what you're comfortable with. But for me, there's no question. It's got to be a Floyd. That's why there's a Floyd on that guitar.
Yeah. And I understand that, for a young student of guitar, it's your first guitar, maybe avoiding the Floyd wouldn't be a bad idea, because when you're really young, you're tuning your guitar differently because you're learning, your interests. Mm-hmm. That's something that, as a guitar teacher, that I've grown to understand is okay, if you get a kid a Floyd Rose guitar for their first guitar and they want to learn, a drop D song, it's just kind of it kind of turns into a nightmare. You need a couple Floyd Rose guitars.
Well, and not only that,
afford, so.
But as you're going through that learning phase, it's really important to learn to tune the guitar. I would recommend a fixed bridge or Strat bridge or something along that line.
Yeah.
But you really no locking nut if you're learning, because you need to be able to understand when your guitar is out of tune. Not just using a tuner, but playing an open G chord and realizing something's not right and figuring out what it is. It's part of your development as a player. So. You can cheat your way through that with a Floyd. And don't forget, they'll just throw in the frustration factor. There's nothing better than a Floyd that is perfectly set up. There's nothing worse than a Floyd that's not. There's nothing worse. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the most frustrating thing in the world, which is, I'm certain why when that new metal movement came through and your bands like Korn and your Limp Bizkits and, those bands, the frustration factor was that I don't want to deal with this. I just wanted to do one thing. So Floyd became out of favor because it was complicated to manage. It's a jealous beast. You have to know how to manage it to make it work right.
Yeah. And I think not everybody plays guitar like Steve Vai, where it's the whammy bar is an instrument of it in and of itself.
No,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, not everybody
the irony
plays
is
like that. I think more guys used to though. Back.
See, I'll unpack that. Every guitar I play has to have a Floyd on it, but I almost never use it. I mean, I'm guilty of that guy that if I use it, it has to be the right part in the right song, accent, and then out. I don't rely on it like a Van Halen or a George Lynch or any of those shredder guys, or even a Steve Vai. But for me, it's where I rest my hand on the bridge.
Yeah, how it feels.
And this is why I stopped. The guitar I use live most of the time does not have a recessed bridge, doesn't have the recessed Floyd for pulling sharp, because I needed to sit just a little higher on the body. So, because when I learned to play, my wrist learned to rest on that Floyd. So it's proximity. If I have a Floyd, I know exactly where my hand's supposed to be at all times. So that's kind of the logic behind it.
Dude, Frank, I wanted to ask you also about different eras of EMG. And recently I had a friend of mine tell me that sometime around 2017, they went to like maybe printed circuit boards, or I don't know exactly what.
Solderless. They went to solderless.
That's
pickups.
what it is. Yeah.
Yep.
So they changed something. Talk about the tone of like the original EMGs and then some of the modern ones that you've come across. Have you noticed a big difference or?
No, I haven't. In fact, the guitar, the main guitar I use, I got a Kramer Focus that I bought for $300. It was in such bad shape. I almost sent it back to the guy because it was hammered. And I ended up just taking a buffer to it and really cleaning it up. But I replaced the pickups. I mean, the pickups were just the old. They weren't the Shallers. They were the ESP version of a Shaller. So they weren't that great in the first place. And I replaced them with two modern EMGs. One of the last things I bought from Mike, one of the last times I saw him, Mike had an EMG endorsement. So he would get EMGs at cost, basically. And he bought it for one client at one of the EMGs, but Mike had these pickups by a guy named Jerry Amalfitano. And Jerry's not a huge builder at all. The only reason I got one set of his pickups, and the only reason I got him was because I mentioned Mike's name. Jerry's an aircraft mechanic with Boeing, he's an older guy, and he ain't leaving his pension and blah, blah, blah. He builds pickups for fun. And those are all that were in Mike's guitars. He had one client that wanted EMGs, and then they made him this in EMG endorsee or whatever, or sponsorship. So I saw him one day and he goes, "Hey, I got these. Are you interested?" It was an entire freaking box of EMG 81s and 85s. And I go, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't want them? And he goes, "I don't use them in my guitars." He goes, "I had to do this for a client in order to get this, blah, blah, blah." So I bought them all for like $50 each. Same thing. I bought the whole case, right? Mm-hmm. And I burned through them all. When we did the guitar show that you and I did that one time, I think I used a lot of EMGs for that. Long story short, they were all the solderless pickups, right? And in this black guitar that I use every day, it has solderless pickups, right? Just here's a pot, just solder, just plug them in like a circuit board kind of thing. Don't notice a difference. I don't notice a difference at all. I think that EMG, if you stay with the actual 81, don't go with the X, don't go with any of the other fancy stuff. Stay away from your circuit boards and boosters and all the preamp stuff like that. If you just go with a garden variety EMG that you bought today, I think it's every bit as good as the ones that were back in the early 80s. I really do. I don't see a difference in output or performance. I will say this, though. Prior to the 85, the EMG was their first one. It was their target pickup. Then they created the 85 as a neck pickup to go with it. And a lot of guys I like using the 85 in the bridge. It's a little bit warmer of a sound. The guitar I'm using every day, it's got two 81s. Why? Because I was too cheap to buy an 85, so I just put two 81s in it. But there's a place in California when I was in LA, and it was like a music shop. And I remember I bought a bunch of EMG pickups that were like bargain bins. Like the wires were cut short. Somebody used them, didn't want them, and they threw them in a bargain bin. And I bought them for like $25. And I bought an EMG 58, which is really, really super rare. And it was before the 85. It was their first attempt at the 85. And then they finally settled on the 85. But that EMG 58, man, that was the best pickup I ever freaking heard. And wow. I don't even know where it is right now. I put it, it's stupid me. I built it into a guitar. I took one of Mike's guitars. It was it was a Talman shape. I don't know if you know what an Ibanez Talman looks like.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that look.
Oh, it's like he called it the seasick Telecaster. Right? It was purple with green binding on it. Like it was somebody was out to make a point. I think it was
Noodles from The Offspring.
No, who was it? Oh my gosh, it was. I know who it was. It was for Derek Frigo from Enough's Enough. It was one of the prototypes for Enough's Enough's guitars, and I ended up buying that, and we pieced that whole thing together, and I stumbled across that 58, and it was a fantastic pickup. And as stupid as I am, at this point I have so many guitars around my apartment that I had a friend whose son wanted to play guitar, so I gave him the whole guitar. Here, just take it. So anyway, but I don't notice a difference in the solderless versus the soldered joints. It doesn't make a half a difference to me at all.
Yeah. I play other pickups all the time. I'm not super picky about that. I really enjoy the Kiesel pickups in my 8-string. That's a great sound, but I'm not the type of guy that will make sure every guitar has the same pickup because that's what I play. I know some guys are like that. They have to have a certain DiMarzio or like bare knuckle. I kind of like having the variety, but I really like what Alex Avedisian is doing. And if I've got this guitar, this Genesis 565, which this is like the best bang for your buck Ibanez right now. It's made in Japan. It's $1,000.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw that on your podcast, and I'm like, that's the same guitar that I sold him. Because you said I got this new guitar. I go, looks an awful lot like the other one.
Well, I wanted something similar to that, and it's got this. It's kind of hard to see on camera here, but it's like a dark purple. It's called Vampire Kiss, and this was a Sweetwater exclusive, so they had a very limited number of this color. You can find the blue and the yellow ones like pretty easily, but you have to get this in Europe or in Mexico. Like you need to go basically not in the U.S. And a guy had this guitar in a case, and I was telling my wife about this. I really want one of those Ibanez 565 guitars because it's similar to the one that Frank got me, and I'm doing all these. This is in C standard. The other one that I just had, the one you made, is C sharp standard. I'm doing all this death metal guitar lesson stuff, which kind of requires a lot of jumping around. So I wanted another guitar that played as good as the one that you made, that wasn't going to cost $3,000 because that's what guitars cost these days, like for something nice. So you can get a Japanese made Ibanez for like, I think this guitar was like $1,100 with like a flight case, with like a rock solid Ibanez flight case. So, but honestly, man, the pickups they're not that good. They're gonna come out. I'm pulling these out.
Are those stock Ibanez pickups?
Yeah, they're not good, man. So I'm gonna go. If you got recommendations for the blade for the single coil size humbucker pickup, I might do like a JB or.
Yeah. Are you looking active or passive?
Either one would be fine.
Dude, I would go with the stack, mini stack JB in that neck position. See, I'm a JB nerd though. If I'm playing live, I like the EMGs for one reason. They always do the same thing. Always. Right. It's a one trick pony. It's just turn on the knob, kick ass, you're done. I like the Seymour Duncan JBs, and I like the Nordstrand pickups for recording because there's just a little bit of, I don't know, phase. I don't know how to talk. I don't know what the technical word is, but there's a little bit more phase breakup in the passive pickups for recording. But
yeah,
it all comes down to how you tweak your tone anyway, and what speaker you're recording out of, or if you're doing an amp sim, what amp sim you're using.
Yeah. So, anyway. Dude, why did you decide to just do a one pickup guitar? Because that this is like the thing that people ask me about the most is like I've never seen a one pickup Ibanez USA from that era. Like with these parts, right?
Yeah, they don't make
you do that. You're just like no neck.
At the end of the day, I am an idiot that is extremely lazy, and the less crap I have on a guitar, the better. I have. My standard setup is 2 humbuckers. I only ever use one, if I'm honest. I only ever use one. I only ever use the bridge pickup, and I only want one knob because I'm not that intelligent. I don't know how to use tone. I just, this was back in my shred days. The difference between then and now is this was. I mean, I was in L.A., so this was late '90s. I went to L.A. to make my mark. Right. This was, no one told me grunge was going to kill an entire industry when I dedicated the age of 16 to 24 to be in. I'm going to be this. Like I busted my ass to earn my chops. I'm in LA. I'm going to make a name for myself. And this is the sound I want to have. And then I had it with that whole, sort of the Pantera was the big thing then. And I wanted that just beef. And I wanted one pickup, one knob, the Van Halen school of logic, like don't complicate things too much. And that was the only reason I did it, because I never used a neck pickup. I have a couple of guitars that have the middle, two humbuckers and a single coil in the middle. And even I've got some great Strats. I've got some classic Pacer Strat styles. And I hate the middle pickup. I love the sound of the single coil neck and the single coil middle together. I love that on a clean sound. I love that on the lead sound. Absolutely despise that pickup because the way I pick, I smack it every single time.
Yeah,
that's right where my picking zone. So for me, the logic on that was one pickup, one knob. That's all I want. I don't want to complicate it. It had nothing to do with anything more than I didn't think I needed it. That was it.
Yeah.
And then try to get the visual image in your head of me building that. I'm living in an apartment in North Hollywood, California. And I'm routing that body on the balcony. I'm not outside. I got a roommate inside. We have the 2-bedroom apartment that we're renting. And I'm on the balcony with a 1655 Parthenia Street in Northridge, California, if you ever want to know. And I went to, it was a Porter cable router. I was working at a tool store. So I bought a Porter cable router and a router bit. And I bought some Stu Mac templates, and I just let's just see what happens.
Wow! And there you go.
And I'll tell you the truth. You can prove this right now. Turn that guitar over to where the Floyd cavity is, and somewhere I can't remember if it's at the top. Zoom in on that. Somewhere in there, I hit the body with a router bit and tore a big chunk of freaking wood out of it. I can't go up a little bit more. It's right down there, like where
here.
Yeah. Yep, right there. There it is, right there. And so I hit it with the router bit, and I'm like, oh, I just ruined this. And of course, I took it to Mike, and I go, Mike, look, I ruined this, man. I need another one. And he goes, no, you don't.
I got to put some noiseless springs in here. I just put this tape over there just to mute them.
Floyd upgrade noiseless. So I nicked that, and I said, Mike, I ruined this guitar body. And he goes, no, you don't. He goes, go get some tape and a super glue. And I literally built a wall around that little cutout right there, filled it full of super glue, and put dust from the guitar body in it and filled it in. That was like my first that was my first lesson learned. Like, don't pick the router up until the bit stops.
That's crazy, man. I just never got to ask you that, or never thought to ask you how you ended up with the single pickup. And there's something really kind of beautiful about that. And one of my heroes, Alan Holdsworth, he had a couple guitars with just one pickup, and he's literally he's playing some of the most intricate, complex music anyone's ever played, and he's playing a guitar with one knob and one pickup. Yeah,
it's weird because as a player, I'm one pickup guy. If I ever use the neck pickup, it's to get a fat, warm sound for a clean tone. If I'm going to play, and maybe sometimes for leads, but I get more out of control with the volume knob than I ever did switching pickups. Right, a lot of what I do right now is the volume during one song will go from 2 to 10, and just to get the articulation. So I never saw the value in switching pickups. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, and like if you're in a metal band and you've got a loud drummer and you go to the neck pickup, there goes your solo. You're not gonna hear it anymore. And I think people when people think about the neck pickup and how it's used, they think of like Petrucci, or Vi. But those guys have, for most of their careers, I'm just going to be honest, they've had like a sound guy, running a perfect mix for them to the front of house. Most guitar players that are playing clubs and even touring guitar players, you might be able to take your own sound guy out on the road and they can help you with your solo. But if you're playing in a loud, complex metal band of most styles, and you switch to the neck pickup to play a guitar solo, a lot of the time your solo is going to drop out of the mix because it's not.
Why is that? You think that is it the frequency? Because I noticed the exact same thing, and I can't tell if it's getting lost in the lows of the bass drum or if it just now I'm pushing my tone into the register of the bass.
It's just such a huge frequency roll off, man. I feel like, in other styles of music like jazz or blues or pop rock and stuff like that, I think you can get away with that.
Right, because you don't have, there's not a wall of noise behind you absorbing your frequency.
You're playing with a loud drummer, and let's be honest, metal bands, when they play, there's typically not a lot of dynamics throughout the song.
Right.
And I'm not talking about progressive metal or progressive rock. Obviously, that's a different thing where there's a lot of changes, but I don't know. That's just something that I've noticed recently. I've been going to a ton of metal shows for the last 2 years or so, and I see a lot of guys with just missing neck pickups, and they don't even put a pickup in there. They literally take it out as like a, I don't know, a middle finger, to whatever, so. I love that guitar just looks so brutal, man. It's like I'm playing all of this extreme metal stuff, and typically in that style of music you'd get a pointy guitar, which you're familiar with those. You built
I made a couple. I've made a couple of those,
and I was kind of against.
They sell really fast.
Yeah. I mean, I was against them for a while, but now they're that's another thing that's back in vogue, man. Is, I mean, the Jackson Custom Shop is making $7,000 Warriors and the BC Rich Iron Bird. I don't know if you've seen the BC Rich stuff is back. A lot of it is made in India now, which I find to be pretty interesting.
The real question is, how many times can a guitar company implode and still come back to life?
It just cannot be killed, man. And they have no social media presence. There's all these people that want to promote BC Rich because I think when they were making guitars from the Korea factory a few years back, those were really good, like the Shredzilla models. I have several friends that have those, and they're great. But man, I have and this is not I'm not trying to be racist here, but $1,500 for a guitar made in India, I don't know if I would do that, man. And that's not against the people of India. I just don't think their factory and craftsmanship is up to snuff with something like Korea or even China.
What's interesting to me in that is that I remember 2 or 3, maybe 4 years back, they announced the return of the BC Rich USA Custom Shop. And that was all, and Neil Mosier was back involved.
$12,000, bro. $12,000 for a guitar. Give me a break. Sorry.
But then people sent in orders and never got guitars. And then the guitars, apparently the guitars they got were the Indian-made, Shredzillas instead of what they actually asked for. So it seems like they get a bunch of hype behind them and then they disappear. So I don't know. It's interesting. But hey, let's be honest, man. There's nothing cooler than the freaking BC Rich Iron Bird. I don't care what anybody says. They look badass. They look badass.
There's this guy in the UK called Radical Instruments, and he makes several pointy guitars. He does like a crackle finish, a blood splatter finish, kind of something that you were doing 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But you can get something that looks like an Iron Bird, but it's called a Star Destroyer.
Nice. George Lucas is going to be suing him soon.
Yeah, exactly. Lucasfilms.
I should say Walt Disney.
Right.
Yeah.
So Radical Instruments. That's another kind of pointy guitar metal brand that's come up recently. That I've had some guys tell me that they really like their guitars. So
I remember when you and I did that guitar show down there in DuPage County. We did that one trade show, and I remember talking to a guy, a local distributor, and he's like, I'm like, check these out. And he's like, yeah, that'll never sell. He goes, we don't sell those. And what he was trying to tell me was I had this aimed at a specific market. And this is what I ran into when I was building those. I'd make I had the Assassin model and all these different models. You try to think of some cool name to go with your heavy metal killer guitar. And I had that one with the bloodstained graphics on it. And, they all sold somewhere. I don't know where they went to, but it was such a hard sell because people go, oh, I love that. Can I get a yellow one? And I'm like, man, there's like $4,000 in this guitar and I can make you another one, but okay, I still have the original one. Like that was the problem I ran into was
I
made all those really cool metal shapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your stuff was like straight out of like the Alien. It was like H.R. Giger. You were like tapping into that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, I decided to push it as far as it would go.
Dude, I think if you were still doing it today, you'd probably have some clients, because those are in demand.
But that's the interesting thing about that, though, is go back to when I built you your guitars. I talked to you about what you wanted. I saw your passion for it, and I built a working piece of art for your passion. That I love doing. The biggest mistake I made was trying to make it into a business, because now I gave myself a second job and a deadline and everything else that goes with it. And then you were, you and I don't know if you know about Roberto. You remember Roberto when I built Roberto, his guitar, Roberto Navarro?
I believe, I remember you talking about him.
And I went through this whole big process, and he was Italian, and he was from Italy, and there was a language barrier there, but we still got through it. But I remember building him this exact guitar he wanted, and we spent hours. I remember it took him 3 weeks to decide how he wanted to put the fret dots. Like Roberto, I got to get this done. Can you please make a decision? That's when I started ironclad contracts. Everything's in the contract before I get started because I don't have time for you to wait. And I built it for him, and he wanted it this coral blue green, and I got Pat Wilkins to finish it for him. And first thing he said is, "Oh, it's not green enough."
Oh my God.
It's not right. And then I said, well, it's the color you gave me. This, you put this, he sent me a picture of a maple or a poplar guitar with a finish on it, and he put it over mahogany. So naturally it was darker because it was
darker. Yeah.
Clear. It was a clear finish. Then he wanted me to sand it all off. He wanted to be like $500 to sand the whole thing off. And I said, I'm not going to destroy this guitar. So I made him another one exactly like it. Same kind of natural finish, the old world guitar finish on it, the whole 9 yards. And I swapped him for it. So now I have this green guitar body sitting around here that I have no idea what to do with. It's a 24.5-inch scale. So I got to make our 25.5-inch scale. So I'd have to make a custom neck for it, which isn't a big deal. I just don't feel like doing it. I have this guitar body, and I made him another guitar body for $0 because I traded him even. And I saw like a year ago, he was selling it on the Facebook marketplace, right? And I'm like, for me, it's like I made this piece of art for you and you just traded it all off. And so it just became such a challenge because you narrow it down to that niche market, right? Like a guy that wants something custom, like say you want a Warrior, but you want something a little different, a little bit more unique. And I tell you, I'll build that for you. I'll do it exactly to your specs. And then the haggling starts. Yeah. Well, I can get the Warrior for $1,800. Well, I can't do this for less than $3,000. How about $2,300? Thanks for calling. I don't know. Yeah. It just got to be such a hassle that I said I'd rather not do this at all. It's taken all the fun out of it.
Yeah, it's the custom guitar thing is wild, man. And I see some companies selling guitars for like $2,200 for a custom made guitar, and I'm like, how are these guys doing this? Like,
I tell you exactly how they're doing that. They put all their energy into it. They built it, and it's just sitting there. And they'd rather get their money back out of the parts and some labor than have it sit here for another week. Yeah, I did the same thing. I had some guitars. You sold
a lot of guitars at a loss, is what you're saying, right? Like,
yeah, it's my favorite joke is the how do you make a small fortune making custom guitars? And the answer is you start with a very large fortune and you whittle it down. You whittle it down to a small one. There's some like I would have contracts where like, you want this guitar, it's going to be $3,500. I need 50% down to get started. That covers materials. I got to buy all the pickups and everything else. I got to spec it all out before I even start cutting it. And that covers that. And then the other 50% is due when it's done. And
Which
I've had
covers
guys
your
go,
labor, right? Like
that's the quote unquote profit part of your profit and loss.
mm-hmm.
And I would have guys that go, yeah, you know what? I don't have it. Just keep it. So they give me $1,600 get nothing out of it. And it sounds like I got the better end of the deal, but I have all this time and effort in there, and it was $3,500. So I didn't get my profit. All I did was practice making guitars. So what did I do? I ended up selling them. I built a guitar for a guy named Peter Stenlund in Sweden, and I built him a custom, and he was teaching at a music school, and I sold them at just break even cost. Here, take these. He wanted some custom guitars for kids at the music school, so I just sold those at cost. That's exactly how somebody makes a $2,200 custom guitar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, and it's crazy to think of, like, just in my time of being a guitar player since I started really around 2002, 2003 is when. Before that I was playing like acoustic, I was a kid. But there's so many builders that I can think of that don't build guitars anymore, like War. You remember War guitars? He was building those like 10-string, like. Oh
yeah.
Yep. He doesn't build anymore, to my knowledge. Conklin is another one. I think he actually passed away though, if I'm not mistaken. But just all of the custom builders, man, and it's hard to. It's difficult to turn it into an actual profitable business, because I
consistently. That's consistently right there.
As a one-man show, doing it yourself
with a family and a day job, right? The other factor that I got to throw in there was my daughter was 2 at the time. Right. So I'm working a day job. This goes back when I was driving a truck. I'd go drive a truck for 10 hours, come home, go right into the basement, start cutting wood. And, you're certain you got to do a quality of life balance there. And the reward wasn't, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was trying to get rich. Right. It's like why you play in a band. You don't go play in a band thinking you're going to be rich one day. You go, I love playing music. This is what I like to do. It's my heart. It's my passion. You don't want to necessarily be the rich and bloated famous rock star, but you still would like to get recognized for your time, talent, and efforts.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'm trying to do now is just record music that I love and put it out there and play some shows. It would be great to tour as well, of course, but I don't have aspirations of being like a household name or anything like that. I want to make music that other people connect with, and but dude, just the fact that you made those guitars, I think is just it's so cool, man. I like looking back, I remember when you were making those like really pointy guitars. Like I think you made some for Dan Fastuca.
The Dan Fastuca Inferno.
Yeah, I would love to own one of those now that I'm playing the extreme shit.
I got 2 of them left around here from that debacle. I'll send you one for Christmas.
Are you serious?
Next time you're up here, you can have one.
Oh man, I didn't know you still had those. Do you want to show us? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, dude, they're buried back in the closet. We'll have to do the Dan Fastuca Inferno on another show.
Well, yeah. We'll get into that at another time. But I wanted to ask you if you wanted to showcase any other guitars from your collection, man. Whether it's the Kramers or like what's your go-to axe these days? Is it still the red one?
I'll show you my go-to axe. Let me grab it here real quick. Wait. All right. This is my go-to. This is it right here.
Sick, man.
It is a 1985 Kramer Focus 2000. And it's I get crap from my drummer all the time. I've got I got 2 of my custom builds at our studio right now. It's got a red and black sunburst that is really modeled after one of these. It was modeled after the early Kramers, and then I got that California Gold one that was on the website for the longest time, and they're backups. And my drummer will say to me, he goes, dude, you got like $3,000 guitars sitting over there. Why are you playing that piece of shit? This that I bought for $300. I bought this for $300 online, and it was so beaten up. Like I said, I almost sent it back. I literally had to get scratch remover and a buffing pad and basically stand on it to get the scratches out of this guitar. I replaced the pickups with these EMGs, a double stack of 81s, and put the D-tuner on it with the original Floyd. I told him the reason I play this all the time, it always stays in tune, it always does what it's supposed to. There's no surprises. And we're playing, playing ratty little bars. We played, from open jams and biker bars, and like if anything happens to this, I really don't care, right?
Yeah.
And so this is my go-to because it always stays in tune. It always just does what it's supposed to, and it's a workhorse that covers everything. The big difference is, and this is probably something that I wasn't psychologically aware of until I started thinking about being on this podcast, is when I built that guitar that you have, when I built all my other guitars, I was looking for something signature, right? I wanted to make a statement. This is my guitar. I built it, right? Or this is my custom. Or if, the fantasy days, if I ever got endorsed, I'd have them build me this signature guitar, like my Nuno model or whatever. Now, I spend all of my time not crafting my signature tone. I spend all of my time unpacking everybody else's. Right? like think about it. I'm in a 90s cover band. The irony of that is when the 90s came out, my band was like in LA. We were just about to get our big deal, and literally overnight, everything died.
What kind of band was that for people that I don't think people really understand that you are like a thrash metal guy?
Oh yeah,
you had the hair, you had the leather jacket, you had the holy jeans, the pumps, you had the whole thing.
I found a picture the other day, black jeans and white high top sneakers. That was the thrash era. Man. And our band was like the best compliment I ever got was somebody said it's like a Pantera that I could listen to. because Pantera was extremely brutal. We were almost on the verge of like a more melodic version of Pantera. And then I'll never forget it. I went home. I was in LA and I went home back to Pittsburgh for Christmas break, and I heard this song, "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and that's a cool song. I go, that Nirvana is going to be a really cool metal band. And I thought it was a great song, and I thought there was huge potential. And then they did "Come As You Are," and I'm like, these guys are kind of moody, but they're still metal. And then a week later, I saw them on Saturday Night Live with pink hair, and everybody declared them grunge. And I'm like, what's grunge? And then I got back to LA like 2 weeks later, and all of a sudden we were told nobody was interested in us anymore. We needed to get flannels and Doc Martens, and nobody cared about your music anymore. Literally overnight. And so anyway, that's how that all came and went. And so that died, and I blamed Nirvana. I blamed grunge. I blamed Alice in Chains. I blamed everybody because you had to be like that now. And you can unpack the psychology of it. Like all along, I was trying to be like somebody else, right? I spent all my time trying to craft the Metallica sound. Then it morphed into Pantera. It was always chasing that next thing. There was very little. I was screaming that I wanted to be original when I spent all my time copying everybody else. That's the long and short of it all. I didn't really take time to dive into what I really wanted music to be. I was like, if I play this, it will be cool. As opposed to like when you listen to Alice in Chains, they're just as heavy, but they did something totally different with it. But anyway, I blocked out all that 90s crap. And then my drummer John and I we were jamming for the longest time. We'd get together and just bash out in his basement and write originals. And he texted me one day when I was sitting at the airport, and he says, "Hey, I'm thinking about putting together a 90s cover band. What do you think about that?" And I wrote him back and I said, "There's nothing in the world I would want less than to do that." I have no interest in that whatsoever.
It's like a machine gun to your thrash metal ego, dude.
Absolutely. I want nothing to do with that. Yeah. And he goes, well, just check this song. And he sent me a link for Meat Plow by Stone Temple Pilots. And I listened to that riff, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's just early Black Sabbath, dude. I can deal with that. And so I learned that song, and I was going over to his house, and I told my wife, I said, so I'm going over to John's on Saturday. We're gonna play some 90s cover songs. And she goes, "You hate that stuff." I said, "Absolutely, I hate that stuff." And she goes, "Then why are you doing it?" I go, "I'm really hoping that it sucks and I never want to do it again." And we had such fun bashing out that song, and Tracker Man and a couple other STP songs. And through the whole process, though, I really fell in love with Stone Temple Pilots. I'm like, there's a lot
such a
there.
great band, dude. They're the best. Yeah, honestly.
There is so much there. So I learned those 2 songs for that Saturday. The following Saturday, we're doing Interstate Love Song. We're just ripping into everything. And I'm like listening to the arrangements rather than going, oh, this is the 90s crap I hate. I'm like, let's listen to it for what it is. So we had like 7 or 8 STP songs in like 2 weeks. And from there, it just started morphing into, well, let's check out Alice in Chains, right? And start playing Alice in Chains. And then we start playing a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm like, well, I always like Rage Against the Machine. So before I know it, we got like 20 songs down, right? And the difference is, this is why I love this guitar. I don't spend my time now crafting my signature tone, right? Like all along, I wanted that identifiable Hetfield crunch, that George Lynch sound. I was always looking for this tone that someone would go, oh, that's Frank, right?
Yeah.
And that came and went, and that's 20 some years ago. Now I'm sitting back going, kind of effect is Tom Morello using on this, right? So I spend most of my time deconstructing everybody else's sound. Reason I like this guitar is it always performs the same. EMGs always have the same output. The guitar always stays in tune. And so I told my drummer, the reason I choose this guitar is because it always works.
Mm-hmm. Man, what would a guitar like that cost back in the day when that thing came out in the 80s? How much was that, do you think?
This is for all you investors out there. This guitar would have cost about $300, $350 back in the day.
Which is like $1,500 in today's money, right? I'm kidding, man.
I'm not sure what
maybe $900 or something, right?
It'd probably be it would be like your introductory $900 model guitar.
And is that a USA made guitar or a Korean made guitar or Japan?
Yes, no, yes.
Okay.
Now, if you look around here, these are all Focus guitars from 1984, 1985, and I don't like anything after that. If you buy anything after 85 to 86, you need to go to the Pacer model. These were all made, and I have one of them that's not. One of them was made at the sports factory. These were all made, completely manufactured at the ESP factory in Japan.
Wow.
Kramer farmed it all out, and then they would send them all back to New Jersey to put them all together.
Dude, so that's actually that's a killer axe, man. Are those hard to find?
No.
Really?
The crazy part about this, right now, these are probably going for $700 or $800 now.
Wow.
I bought all these in 2020. The first one I ever bought, I bought Super Bowl Sunday of 2020. And I remember I sat down in a chair and I was texting a guy on Facebook Marketplace, and I got up and I told my wife, I'm going to buy a guitar. And I talked him down to $200. and it was this old Focus. And I remember when I went to meet him, I met him in like Ithaca, Illinois. I drove 2.5 hours west.
Yeah, I think we were talking about the Kramer Focus and like the cost of that guitar, where it was built. But yeah, anything else you want to say about that guitar?
No, to me, it's just a preference thing. I for some reason, and I don't know what it is, I'm probably a crazy person here, but that particular make and model and era of guitar, and I'm sure it has to do with the fact that it was my very first real guitar. I learned to play on it. I still have the original one I had. Hold on, I'll go grab it real quick. Hold on.
Yeah. Look at that thing. That red, man.
All right. Put my earbuds back in so you can hear me. So this was
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
This was the very first guitar I ever bought. Kramer Focus 2000. This was what I played when I was in LA. I built a second knockoff guitar, that one I call the Log. I built just to drag around Hollywood, but this was my very first guitar to beat the hell when I was in LA. I had it refinished by Pat Wilkins in this custom red. And
it's a great red, man.
I was embarrassed to play a Kramer Focus. So I had the headstock stripped down and I just put the Kramer sticker on it so nobody would know I was playing a Focus. And then over the years, I had gotten different guitars and nothing ever just replaced the feel of this one. So this is the one I love the most. It's just, everything is just right. It's because of the way I learned how to play.
Yeah.
And
you don't take that one out to gigs these days.
No, this never leaves the studio, right? So I bought a white one exactly like this. Actually, I bought a white with the single coils, a Strat copy, and I saw it on the Facebook Marketplace for $225. And this was 2020. It was the COVID year, but this was pre-COVID. So I texted the guy in classic Facebook Marketplace mentality. I wrote him back and said, "Well, you take 200 because 225 was too much." So the guy goes, "Yeah, I'll take it." And I left right away, went out to meet him, and drove like 2 hours west to some place in Illinois, and met him at a gas station. And he pulled it out of his trunk, no case, just thrown in his trunk, rusted. So what's the story on this? And he goes, "I had it in college. It's just been laying around the house." So I snagged it and I took it home and I completely tore it apart and rebuilt it. And I got it hanging on the wall behind me. If you look on the wall behind me, it's the white one that's way in the back corner.
Oh, man.
And it sparked something, and it's unique. This ties into the custom guitar building thing. It sparked a nostalgia that I never had before. Because I remember buying this guitar, not knowing how to play it, and looking, going, I don't know how it works. I don't know what it does, but it's the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like where I grew up in coal mining, Pennsylvania, you didn't have these, right? Like this was one of those things I had to drive into the city to buy it. Like you had to go like where civilization was to get something like this. And I just remember learning everything I ever learned on the guitar on this, right?
Wow.
I was telling my daughter, she's big into naming things. So every time I buy a new guitar, we have to name it. And she said, "What is this guitar's name?" And this guitar is affectionately known as the Professor. And she says, "Why is it called the Professor?" And I said, "Because it taught me everything I know." When I first got it, I drug it home, drove all the way into Pittsburgh for it. I paid $400 for it with a hard shell case. And I never forget it. I wanted an electric guitar, and my mom said that she would, if I worked all summer long, however much money I saved, she would match it. And I saved exactly $200. So I went and I bought this, and I drove down. It was a big thing, man. I drove all the way into the city with my mom's big old Cutlass and went with my friend Phil, and we bought this, and I brought it home, and she came home from work about 4:00 in the afternoon. She can't wait. She wants to see my guitar. She comes in my room. It's completely torn apart on the floor. Like the bridge is off, the neck is off. And she just goes, "Oh, you couldn't even wait a day until you destroyed it." I said, no, Mom, I'm putting it back together so it plays right. Because remember, this was back before you had recessed Floyds.
Yeah.
So they had the neck shimmed so high so you could pull it sharp. So the bridge was really high. And I didn't know this at the time. I'm just like, this is really hard to play. So I took it all apart and I reset it all up the way I wanted it. And that was day one.
Wow.
So this guitar has taught me everything from how to set them up to how I would build them if I wanted to build them, how to play, every single thing. So for me, it's this nostalgia. And I remember the awe. Like I would just open the case and look at it. But I didn't know how to play at the time, right? Like I remember I told my mom, I graduated from high school in '86. And she goes, "Well, what do you want to do with your life?" I said, "I want to play guitar in a rock band." And she looks at me dead seriously and she goes, "But you don't know how to play guitar." I did not start playing until the day I graduated from high school. And I said, "Yeah, I'll figure that part out later. I just need a guitar." And so it was one of those things where I was just in awe of this instrument. And as I build guitars, like I started building guitars because this one didn't have what I wanted. I wanted the recessed Floyd. I wanted all these changes. So as I started building, I started improving on it. The one thing I never managed to put into one of my own guitars is that nostalgia. Like I had awe. I was literally looking at this white Focus that I bought from a guy in the trunk of his car with awe and wonder. And then it became like, how did this scratch get here? How did this happen? Like, was he playing in a bar and it fell and put a big nick in the headstock? So now you start having this vintage guitar, which I can say is vintage because it's over 35 years old, but there's all kind of history behind it. So I cleaned them up and I set them all up, but I never tried to uncover it. I never tried to bury the history of the big scratches and the dents, right? So it was a nostalgia factor. And as a builder, you're building a new guitar for somebody, and their hopes and dreams are that it will solve all their problems and make them a better player, right? When the reality is all I can really do when I design a guitar for somebody is take the obstacles out of their way. It doesn't make them a better player. It doesn't miraculously solve all your problems. What it does is take away some problem you might have, but it doesn't automatically make you a better player. So I became infatuated with these guitars. And like I said, I bought it for $200 in February 20th, 2020, because that was Super Bowl Sunday. Because I remember, I made a Facebook post that day, right before Super Bowl. I came back home with this guitar, and I said, hey, I just bought this vintage Kramer Focus for $200. Who's going to win on Super Bowl Sunday? I'm going to win on Super Bowl Sunday. That's how I know it was that day. And and then COVID hit, right? So COVID hit. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say, man, is you're taking a $200 guitar and you're really in effect turning it into like a $700, $800, $900 guitar by the time you're done, or more, right? Because you're upgrading the parts and because you know how to work on these instruments and make the frets level and perfect, and
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but it's like the Focus series of guitars were made at the same factory as the Pacers. The same, all that. The only thing different was the pickups, right? The Pacers came with Seymour Duncans. These came with old Schaller pickups. They still came with the original Floyds. So, yeah, you would really do is take the cheap parts of the guitar and replace them with better parts. So there's none that are truly stock. Every one of them's been upgraded, retrofitted. Sometimes you got to shim the neck, sometimes you don't. Level and dress all the frets. All that stuff makes a big difference. But anyway, that's the gist of it all. And so that was in February. If you remember, I think it was April 2020. COVID hits. Everybody's in lockdown. Like, nobody can play. Musicians are playing. Bars are closed. Vegas Strip is shut down, right? And all the musicians are not playing anywhere. Nobody's making any money. All of a sudden, these guitars start popping up on Facebook for $200, $300. And what it is I had this laying around forever. It was my first guitar. I needed some cash. I'll just sell it to you. And so I started snagging. Every one of these I bought for like $200, $200 to $300. Wow. A couple of the vintage Pacers I bought were probably $8 or $9, but they're $2,000 guitars if you bought them on a vintage market.
So the Pacer is a higher tier guitar than the Focus?
Yeah. So the Focus was your entry level guitar, and it was made in the same factory. But they would, for the Pacers, they would ship all the parts back to New Jersey, and they would get all custom handmade. There's a lot of times the Focuses would just get put together in Japan and sent out. So it was really an entry-level market, but it had the Floyd Rose on it. That's the amazing part, is the Floyd Rose was the most coveted thing in the world. So you throw the Floyd on this guitar. The Floyd alone was worth $300, and I bought the whole guitar for $300.
Yeah.
So,
man, what's so interesting about that time, like in 2020, is people did start playing guitar, who didn't play guitar before because they're stuck in their house and they're like, I don't know what to do with myself. I better, I've always kind of thought guitar was cool. I think I'll buy an acoustic, so people were ordering guitars on Amazon and Guitar Center, entry level guitars, and they couldn't get them over here fast enough. You know what I mean? Because of like, the Suez Canal thing, like that was a whole debacle. Right? Like,
I don't know anything about that.
The average person couldn't take a guitar like that, a Kramer guitar or an old used guitar. I guess the average person that's maybe a guitar hobbyist or wanted to learn guitar during the pandemic, they weren't resourceful enough to understand that, like, okay, there's Facebook Marketplace. They don't, so they're buying new guitars.
Yeah. Well, you got to also never underestimate the power of marketing, right? Yeah. Like we were talking about the Ibanez Talman model earlier, right? I remember talking to Mike Lipe about that, and he said, I told them this thing will never sell, it will never work. And they said they didn't care. They were trying to appeal to the grunge market that wanted a cheap Ibanez version of a Fender Mustang. It was intentionally a bad design. The marketing idea is, if you're going to do something, you need something new and fresh. Don't buy anything old and crappy. Yeah. And so that's the to this day, that's still happening. I mean, if you're a business that's going to stay in business, you have to create some new need for somebody else.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, man. And maybe you'll find this interesting, but I just look at the guitars that I've bought post pandemic. and they've all needed fretwork, and they're so expensive, man. Like guitars today, it's hard to find a guitar that is fairly priced that actually plays really well. That's been my experience.
I agree. Everyone needs a setup as soon as it shows up. Hang on a second. I want to pick this one back.
Yeah. Well, just for anybody watching while Frank swaps that out, this is a Yngwie Malmsteen guitar, and I did a YouTube video on this a couple of years ago, and this is a $2,000 guitar that as soon as I got it needed fretwork done. Like, this guitar is a fully scalloped fingerboard. It's made for huge bends, right? And to do that stuff and to use the guitar the way it was intended, I had to get my buddy Matt to do a full setup on this guitar. Basically, re-level the frets, redress them. He had to do a bunch of stuff to get this guitar to actually play it, performance level. And then the same thing with this Ibanez here. This is, an $1,100, $1,200 guitar. It was virtually brand new, but to set it up in C standard, I guess it probably played a little bit better when it was in E standard or played okay just right out of the factory, but to get it to set up in a different tuning, we had to do a full fret level on this one as well. But I guess my point of saying all this is a lot of these guitars that are $1,500, even $2,000 guitars, they're sending them out of the factory, and the first thing you have to do when you get them is do fretwork. And I just think that's just like really that's terrible. That's
all right. So are you ready for the Revelator moment?
Yeah.
So your $1,500 guitar, we discussed this earlier, based on economics. Really, your $1,500 guitar is the equivalent of my $399 Kramer Focus. Right? Yeah. That's the level we're talking on. In the mass production market, I wrote a whole blog article. I don't even know if my website is still up, but there's a blog article there's several of them on my website about manufacturing, mass production versus handmade. The average build time for a mass production guitar. So you got Fender Strats are rolling off the shelf, right? There's one place that cuts the neck, one place that cuts the bodies, one place that does the routing. Everybody, it's like a mass production line, right?
Yeah.
And then by the time all the parts are done, goes through the paint booth, goes through the finish line. By the time it shows up for assembly to be put together, the average assembly time for a mass production guitar is 8 minutes. 8 minutes. 8 minutes to put the neck on, put the tuners on, set it all up, put the pickups in, drop the pick guard in, put a couple drops of solder on a couple of joints, and send it down the line. That's 8 minute production time. That includes quality control. So what you're getting, and I've seen how they do it. They do a real quick fret level. They put the neck on their thing. They run a sander over it a couple times. They polish it up. Boom, down the line it goes. By the time all those parts get together, it's 8 minutes for your standard production line guitar. I'm not talking Fender Custom Shop. I'm not talking any of that stuff. I'm talking anything you'd buy that's hanging on a wall at a Guitar Center right now. Probably took about 8 minutes to complete. So they're not doing that fine detailing. And that's where it comes in. I got into building because was it you or was it Corey Bonnet that brought me a guitar one time? It was a Fender Strat. I think it was Corey. And the bridge was literally in the wrong place. Like, it would not intonate because the bridge was too far forward. And so I had to unscrew it and mount the bridge back where it was supposed to be and all that fun stuff. And so there's not a commitment to detail. And even if you get one that's decent, it's still going to have to go through a setup for a quote-unquote professional type player.
Yeah, I mean, that guitar had essentially, which I don't know why they do this, but they put like a high gloss on the entire neck of that guitar, and so there's all this overspray on the frets. So there's like a layer of gloss on the freaking frets that, that doesn't work, man. But that is a $2,400 made in USA guitar. And it was just kind of such I don't want to say that it was a disappointment, but that's been my dream guitar, one of my dream guitars, to have a Malmsteen Strat. I've wanted that for a long time because I'm such a huge fan. But the first thing I had to do was dump another, almost $200 into it with fretwork. And he did like a mod. I've got like a neck bridge mod switch in there too, which is cool. But I'm telling you, bro, that guitar is incredible to record with. Like it cuts through the mix. I have this like really kind of brutal death metal record coming out soon, and probably in the next couple months. It's actually an EP, but I did all of the solos. It's like neoclassical shred solos on a death metal record.
Nice.
And it's all with the Malmsteen Strat, and those pickups are unbelievable. Seymour Duncan YJM. I think they did like 26 iterations of those pickups before they got them right. Like,
nice.
But dude, so how many Kramers do you have now?
I don't know, probably 15 or 16.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So I bought all these vintage ones, and like I said, from that 84 to 85 era. That was the only era I cared about. And then just for comparison's sake, I sort of look at myself as a Kramer historian, because I can pocket time and pay areas of time. 82, anything before 82 would not have a Floyd. You'd have the Rockinger tremolo on it, which was garbage. So 83, 84, they start with the Floyds. By the time you get into 86, they switch to the banana headstocks because Eddie Van Halen. So I can look at that timeline and say, okay, that's where it starts to go downhill, because Van Halen's name on it makes mass production have to go through the roof. By the time 89 came around, they were out of business because they just started cranking out garbage. But anyway, they came back in 2004, I think Gibson bought them. And I bought a Kramer Beretta because I've always wanted a Beretta, but I'm not about to pay $4,000 for a classic 85 Beretta. So I bought one of the production models for like $600. And I gotta admit, I really like it. It doesn't suck. It's pretty.
They have a thing called the Gibson Garage in Nashville, which we'll have to check that out. But they've got some Kramer Berettas there, man. They're pretty freaking sick, like custom shop finishes on them and stuff. And
yep. So I don't hate that new one. It's 2010. I mean, it's not anything vintage whatsoever, but they really managed to keep the spirit of the Kramer guitar in that newer production model. So while I'm on a roll, I decided to buy a 2010 Stage Master. Neck through, whole 9 yards, shockwave purple.
Wow.
I hate it. I plugged it in, played it once, and said, I got to put this back in the box and sell it. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. So, whatever.
Was the Eddie Van Halen guitar a Kramer guitar, or was it just the neck that he put on?
No, his first guitar is the one he built. So there's the Frankenstein, which was not a Kramer at all. It was a Mighty Mite, Boogie Bodies, body and neck. And then for a period there, when he was endorsed by Kramer, they put a Kramer neck on it. And then he went back to his original neck. So the Frankenstein has got nothing to do with Kramer. The Beretta was designed by Eddie. That was basically his flagship model.
Gotcha.
And that was all Kramer.
Wow.
Anyway.
So are you still hunting these things down? Are you,
No, I'm done. Well, the way they all came about is I told my wife, I said, listen, every time you take a stray cat in this house, I'm buying a new guitar. and now I don't have any wall space left, so I don't want any more.
How many cats do you have, though?
6.
No way.
I swear
some of them live outside, though, right?
No, we have 7 if you count the one that lives outside.
Oh my God, bro! My allergies would be off the chain at your house. I would.
It's not my allergy; it's just my all-out frustration. Nothing ever stays where you put it, ever. So hold on. Hey, I want to show you something though. I dug something out while we took our break.
Cool,
hold on.
Man. Oh, he's got the Infernos. Look at these guitars. Yes, dude. They're the most evil creations ever, man.
I dug out the metal guitars.
Dude.
This is the Inferno.
Holy shit, bro.
It's my version of the Flying V, obviously.
I'm going to tell my wife we need to buy those. Like, we need to send you a check, like, today for those. I want that so bad.
So this was the original one that I had cut in. So it's all stemmed from this shape here.
Look at that thing, man.
This was the Giger inspiration, because I was trying to make this look like the tail from the creature from Alien, right? And then I laid it all out, and I got a piece of hardboard, and I drew it all up, and I go, man, that looks like it's on fire. And then I decided to cut it into the Inferno shape. So this was my original one with just a straight up original headstock.
Dude, what was wrong with that guitar? How come he didn't want that or pay? He didn't want to pay for that.
This was not for Dan. This was just mine. This was the original one that inspired Dan. So Dan Festuca is a guy we knew. My wife was really good friends with him. She knew him in L.A. and we became friends over time. And he was in a bunch of bands. He had custom designed guitars. He had a Star Blazer and a bunch of stuff that was very similar to this. And he told me that, if I build guitars, if I build him one, he'd play it. He was supposed to go on tour. His band Jet Black was going to go on tour with Maiden, and he wanted a signature guitar. But if you know Dan, he's like 6'9". I mean, the guy is absolutely enormous human being.
He's a monster.
So he puts this on, and it looks like he's playing a ukulele. So I built this just for my own sake. This had to exist in my world, right? This is inspired by your early BC Riches. Like, this is a guitar that makes a statement before you ever plug it in, right?
But that's a similar size to a maybe a Jackson V, right?
It's the same. It's scaled like a Rhodes V. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you're in the same ballpark. And this was the original, right?
Crazy.
Now, hold on, I got more. Hold on.
It's wild. Look at that thing. So that's the bigger V. That's like a King V size.
This is bigger than a King V, dude.
Yeah.
I basically had to scale this up to his size.
God.
And I just taken it out of the case. I banged it against like 3 things because it is just freaking enormous.
Good grief, dude.
And
Kaler.
Yeah, he was a Kaler endorsee. So I remember I talked to the guys. I actually got this from Kaler sent to my house because he apparently has an account with them or whatever. So I scaled it up. You can see it's enormous. I mean, it's like close to here. So it's probably 3-4 inches longer back here than the original. Flame graphics. He didn't want it airbrushed. He actually wanted flame graphics. So this is actually a flame image that was printed on, the ink was printed on a sheet of paper, and then you thermal heat it and you peel it off and it sticks on. So I had Pat Wilkins do all these finishes anyway. He does all my stuff. And then he wanted a custom signature headstock.
God, that guitar is just so brutal, man. So
sorry, man. I keep knocking out my earbuds. I have to use earbuds because I don't have a good microphone. So he wanted this custom signature headstock with the flames cut in it because it had to be for Dan. It had to be all for him. So that was the beast. And then I don't know if these are 81s and 85s or if they're signatures. I don't remember. But it was a pain in the ass to build. This one has a volume knob. His signature models only have an on-off. So I built this with a volume knob and a toggle. His is just on-off.
Yeah.
Actually, he has 2 of them. He has 2 toggles. He has a toggle for on-off, and then he's a toggle for the pickup selector.
So you built that, and he wasn't vibing with it, so he said keep that and make me a new one, or
no? I built this one for him, and this was I built 3 of these at the same time. I built him 2 of them. He wanted 2 of them for tour because he wanted one in a backup. So I built him 2, and you can't find a case for it. I had to have custom cases made in the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And I sent him 2 of them, and he was supposed to, the deal was I'll make you these guitars and you promote them on tour, and then the tour never happened. So I sent him those guitars and off to the races. And, and this, by the time you look at finish and everything else that's in there, even with the Kaler discount, it was still like $4,000 sitting there.
It sucks to have a bunch of money in gear and it's not doing any. It's not. Yeah,
and it's right now. It sits in the case in the closet because I can't even play it. It's too freaking. I'll knock over everything if I play it. Although I might take that Flame Inferno and try to see how the band wants me to do that. I might play that in the band. This next song's called Interstate Love Song. There you go, rock out.
That's killer, man.
So
wow.
And then that one,
I didn't know you still had those, man. That's so.
Oh yeah, they're buried in the closet. And then that one stemmed into this design, which is kind of like the Explorer.
Oh my! I remember this one. Oh, it's missing a pickup.
This one was the Explorer version of that. When you start building guitars, you're limited to X, Y, and V shapes. I haven't seen anybody do a guitar with the M shape in it yet, but put the long cutout in there so you could have the deep cutaway. You can reach all your frets, and just try to make it as exotic as possible. I did this one with this finish is kind of like Dimebag inspired from his Razorback. I wanted it to look like a piece of metal. This is one of the ones where Pat Wilkins really let me down. because this is again the same flame graphic or same print graphic. It all looks like rusted metal, and then for some reason he just made it all look like a piece of pizza. So I wasn't happy with that finish at all. And then I gutted it, took the pickup out for another guitar, and it's just been sitting around. One of these days I'll put it back together. Look at that $400 FU bridge just sitting in the closet.
Oh, bro.
Remember what I said about make a small fortune, turn a large fortune into a small one? There's $400 here. There's $400 sitting on the other one. There's $300 in that Kaler just sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? Makes a cool story. Someday I'll break this back out. What I want to do is refinish this one. I want to tear this all down and airbrush it all myself.
Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah, make it look like the rusty guitar that you initially wanted, right?
Yep, someday. But I'm not exactly looking for things to do. That's the problem. Anyway, I thought I'd break those out since you asked.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see that stuff, man. And, you know, guys that are into pointy guitars that are watching this, I'm sure they'll at least appreciate the originality and
maybe I'll start the business back up again.
Let's go, guys. Order some guitars.
I still have the templates. They're still sitting in the other room. The workshop's just sitting there quiet.
Man, I want like you can make me a black with blood splatter like that with that warrior shape.
Yep. I can do that.
That'd be crazy.
I could refinish this one that way for you. Get it out of my house.
Hey, I don't even think you have to refinish it because it's its own. It kind of tells the story. But I'll holler at you about that, man. We'll see. Maybe we can make a deal.
maybe when your baby's born, maybe I'll give it to them for a christening gift.
Hey, that would be great. No, I think it would be wild to do some playthrough on the channel with the guitars that look like that, man. That would just be insane.
Cool.
So
all right, maybe if I get inspired, I'll put it back together and send it to you.
Yeah,
do some promo for me.
I'd love to, man. Yeah,
cool.
Well, Frank,
very cool.
We've been talking for quite some time now, and this has been really cool to catch up and talk guitars and hear a little bit about your story as a builder, the story of this red RG. But man, like, what do you have going on, this year? What's going on with the family and with, I know you're in the 90s cover band. What's that band called? Where can people see you guys perform? I
get to promote our band.
Promote it, dude. Let's go.
All right. Well, let's start with the family. So first of all, little Miss Gia is 17 years old, going on 18. She's got her driver's license. She's very much still my baby girl and very much a teenager. That depends on her mood, obviously. We're doing good. My wife's doing good. She works in town here, so she has a lot of flexibility to spend time with my daughter. Still working the same job I always had that absorbs most of my soul and most of my time, but it pays the bills. And that's about it. I haven't built anything for a long time. I guess I went through a depression, I think. Ever since I've known you, I've talked about building guitars. Ever since I met Mike Lipe, I wanted to build guitars. My dream, quote unquote, retirement package was to have a shop where I just build guitars. I got really disillusioned. I got the same disillusion I got from the music industry, I got from the guitar builder industry. There are some very great guys in the industry. Pat Wilkins is ace human being. Mike Lipe is an ace human being. There are some not so great human beings. One of the guys we talked about earlier that works at a certain U.S. custom shop that sells guitars for $12,000 once called me a second-rate hack and told me I was stealing his intellectual property for making a Pointy guitar because he invented the Pointy guitar. I went to the NAMM show to find, and when I was out there, when I was with the Nordstrand Pickups booth, a lot of builders just are the same caliber of horrible human beings that you run into in bands. So I got disillusioned by the process.
Well, you know what? Neil Mosier missed out on a really great opportunity to befriend somebody who makes some kick-ass guitars. So
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't.
All I have to say is fuck you, Neil Mosier, if that's your attitude, man. That's like, I don't care, man. Like, who's buying $12,000 guitars? Is it people that are playing on stage? Is it, I doubt it. Send me a picture of the next guy playing a Neil Mosier guitar on stage.
I'd be Slash. That's about it.
Slash? Yeah, but that's okay.
I know. Once, I don't know. Hey, just for the record and for legal purposes, I did not mention anybody's name at all. I did not bring it up in context.
Fuck that guy, man.
I just remember I wrote him this really, really heartfelt email about what an inspiration he was and how I was inspired by the designs from the early 80s. And it triggered me to want to do this. And he wrote back and said, I don't care. You're a second-rate hack who's stealing my intellectual property.
Give me a
and I was like,
break, dude.
I was like, okay, I guess there's no friendship there.
What's he doing? Trying to model himself after Gibson and try to sue everybody who's doing anything remotely close to what he's like? What's the point of that? I don't understand.
I got to be honest with you. I wrote an article on my website called, You're Nobody Till Somebody Sues You. And that was his whole thing, was he was going to sue me for intellectual property theft. And I said, I must be making the right moves because now somebody big like that thinks I'm a threat to him, when really all I am is inspired by him. That'd be like if you're in a band and you meet Eddie Van Halen and he tells you that he invented the guitar and you're stealing him because you're playing an electric guitar. That's how crushed I was by that.
Or you're fretboard tapping and he's telling you're stealing my sound or my idea. Like that's...
but that was part of it. The other part was, I don't know. There was a huge amount of disappointment as far as reception by the industry. Right.
Yeah.
Now, I still when building guitars, like for you or for Christian or anybody like that, if there's somebody that's passionate about the guitar, when it becomes a job shop, I didn't want to do it anymore. And I found myself, I spin a good web and I've got a pretty good sales technique. So at one point I had a lot of guitars that just had to be done. And, it's 3 to 4 months minimum to build a guitar. Any guitar I've got minimum 80 hours in that thing. And there was one point I had like 6 of them I had to get built. And I'm like, I don't know how they're going to get all done. And it becomes a job shop to where it was the passion, I guess the excitement and the passion wasn't there. And so when I stepped away from that, COVID hit and everybody was buying $200 and $300 Amazon guitars. They weren't buying my guitars. And it was just like, this is the perfect time to stop. It ran its course. So I let that lie. I still have all the tools and all the stuff, and I still have the same passion for it. If I could find the right opportunity and the time. I mean, when you're going to find out in about 16 years, there's a point when you raise a child and they're a little kid, you want to be involved in them and shape their thinking. And then there's a point when you got to take that child and turn them into an adult. And that's, I don't want to spend my time doing that. And the years between, 14 and 23 are crucial. And I don't want to spend all my time building guitars and tell my daughter, basically, I'm too busy for you.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice, man. And you can always pick it back up, like at some point if you want to, man. And like, I think you just need to know that you did build some incredible instruments. I still play them. I still use these guitars.
Oh, very cool.
Like really
much
often.
love for that.
And
I remember when I was building the Beef, when you were going on tour with that band Skies, remember that? Yeah. And you go, dude, I need this guitar and I need it in 6 weeks. Because you were leaving. You're like, the van is picking me up in 6 weeks. You remember that?
Yeah.
And you're like, I want this piano bridge, whatever that thing was called. Like there was a lot of different stuff on that guitar. And I remember I'd come home from work and I'd go right downstairs and I'd start working on that guitar. And Gia was probably 2 or 3 years old at the time. And she's crying. And, it's just one of those days when my wife's completely frustrated. And she came downstairs and goes, that guitar is going to cost us our marriage.
Oh my God.
I was like, uh-oh. And so there was a point there where it started becoming, it started cutting into things that were too important. There's no dollar amount that can put on, missing your kid growing up. So I took a break from it.
You could have told me like, hey man, it's going to have to be longer than that, because I did have another guitar at the time, and I wanted to, when you're out.
And you would have understood, but now magnify that by 6 guys who already paid deposits on them and have the right to say, where's my stuff, right? It's just, at that point, I'm running 2 businesses and a household. And so it just got to be too much. I just didn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
So that ended that. And then it was just like, okay, that's over. And then it was back to living, yard work, house maintenance, that kind of stuff, all the boring stuff no one wants to admit exists. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, like last year, it was 2 Christmases ago, Johnny wanted to start this American cover band. It's called the Flashback. The Flashback Saints. That's our name. Our job is to bring you back in time. And
coming to a Northern Illinois bar near you.
Here's the tagline: Chicago's premier classic or 90s classic rock band. That's what we do.
Awesome, man.
And so we pick
Saints.
and so I'm not a fan of the 90s. I told John when I discovered Stone Temple Pilots, right? I started getting into STP and I started listening to Alice in Chains, and not the songs that, that are beaten to death, but like Man in the Box is an obvious banger. But we do Rooster, we do some of their their stuff that is, I don't know. I say this, I don't play 90s songs. I play really great songs. They just happen to be from the 90s. And it sort of became this obsession. And I told him when I discovered STP, it's like 30 years ago, I took a treasure and I buried it in my backyard without looking what was in there. And 30 years later, I'm opening this box and going, oh my God, all these treasures are in here. I mean, we were so close to becoming an STP cover band. We were like that close. And I told him, I got the perfect name, Stone Temple Pirates. That was going to be our name.
That's awesome, man.
That got shut down. Nobody wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And so now I spend my time, and like I said, the biggest joy I have right now is we've decided we want to pick a new song. I unpack it all the way down to the tone, right? I'll do all kind of YouTube tutorials on what amps was Jerry Cantrell using, what effects go in here, and I'll unpack it all. And I spend the most of my time dialing in somebody else's sound. And I went from, you probably hate me on this one here, I went from I had a custom modded 6505. So I had the 120 watt 6505 head, and this really complex pedal board. And that same vintage carving cabinet I've had since the 80s, the one you used to see here sitting in the corner. I gutted that thing and I put in Mojo Tone BV30 speakers, and I X-patterned them, 2 BV30s and 2 vintage 30s. And the thing just kicks ass. Absolute killer tone. And then massive pedal board. We go to play this open jam, and I go to talk to the sound guy. Hey, we're going to play open jam here this week. What's the sound setup like? And he asked me what amp I have. He goes, are you out of your mind? You can't bring that thing in here. So I took that tone and I dialed it all in on my little Vox Tone Lab. So now my setup consists of Kramer Focus for $300, a Vox Tone Lab from 2010 that costs about $150, and that's it. Everything is programmed in there, and I'll spend countless hours.
The Tone Lab is you send an XLR out to the front of house. Yeah. It's got the cab sim and everything. It's
got the cab sim. Yeah. It's got the floor. Yep. And so I'll run that, and I've got we do Rage Against the Machine, so I got the Tom Morello whammy pedal that feeds into that first. I got the Jerry Cantrell wah because it has a darker tone to it all. So I got a couple things. So I got this 32-inch pedal board, but it's all the Tone Lab. And, I've gone from the guy that's the custom guitar builder that tells you Tonewood makes a huge difference to playing a crappy $300 guitar. I'm the guy that agonized over what speakers, and I had that amp head I had modeled, I had modified. There's a guy down here in Chicago. His name's Anthony. They call him the Amp Man. If you ever want to look up Amp Man mods, he did a white channel mod on that 6505 that is a replica of a 68 Plexi Marshall, and it is the absolute best mod ever in the whole freaking universe. In fact, on that 6505, I use the rhythm channel more than the lead because it's that good of a tone. It will go on 2 on the volume knob. It cleans up like a really clean AC/DC song, and you crank the volume knob and you're in freaking Van Halen land. So I had it all dialed in. It had to be these specs. Like I had to have Anthony do this mod. I'm just using this little box. It's got to be simple. Dude, it's got to be something.
Yeah, that mod sounds sick. Like I've got a 6505 plus over here, and the clean channel's virtually unusable.
Absolutely.
I'd love to be able to use that channel, but man, that red channel is just there's nothing quite like it, nope. Man. It's so brutal. Like
I agree, but see, that's the thing though too, is it's good for that crunchy metal. It's good for just all brutal, but it doesn't clean up enough to play, something lighter, and that's why I wanted that white channel mod. So
yeah,
that's it, man.
Very cool, man.
So other than that, I'm learning songs, playing songs. We're probably up to, I don't know, 40 songs right now. We're getting ready to start playing out consistently. And then we're going to go play your old haunt, the Rock House in Dundee, Illinois, which was the Dundee Theater when you played
Theater.
there.
Yeah. The classic, man. I'm glad that place is still there. I'm glad people are still doing shows there.
Oh, dude, they totally revamped it, dude. You should go on the Rock House. It's amazing.
Oh,
it's just insane. It doesn't look anything like it used to. It's totally kick-ass.
Gotcha, man. What's the scene like up there in Illinois these days? Is real estate affordable? Like
no,
it's just everything's overpriced up there. And what's going
sum
out
it up
to
for
eat
you.
like too? Like I was just like, is it expensive food prices when you go out and stuff? Or?
Minimum, if two of you go out for dinner here, minimum is $40-$45.
Yeah, that's still
I'm talking
better than Nashville.
That's Portillo's, right? If you go to like you're talking fast food. If you want to go to there's a place here in town that makes it's a pancake house kind of thing. And every once in a while after church, Fonzel will order breakfast there and we'll pick it up and have breakfast for lunch. It's $85.
Yeah.
For 3 scrambled egg skillets. It's insane. I'm going to sum it up to you like this. The Chicago Bears are moving to Gary, Indiana. That's how bad Illinois is, right? Just I don't have to say anything else.
I did not know that. That's where is the stadium is going to be built there, or they're just practice?
They're moving the entire stadium to Gary, Indiana.
Holy shnikes.
Everything. Man. They will now be the Indiana Bears. I just want you to think about that. Like our government is so bent on driving everybody out of Illinois, and all they're doing is raising taxes on everybody that stays. So it's not good.
Unbelievable, man. What's Hampshire, Illinois like these days, man?
It's growing more than I like. We got a new housing development here where the state basically said that they're going to expand Hampshire, whether you like it or not. You can do it your way or our way, and they gave us a new housing development here. And there's several fine personages from the inner city are being trucked up here to live in free housing. Let's just put it that way.
Oh yeah. Interesting, man. Yeah, I don't even begin to understand how all of that works, but yeah, that's funny. Hampshire's it's been just a small township, excuse me.
Yep.
In northern Illinois. I mean, I went to school down the road at Burlington Central High School.
Burlington Central, I remember.
I mean, even that school is probably unrecognizable to me from what it was, 20 years ago or whatever. Yeah, it's just interesting how times are changing. Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole political discussion, which we're not going to have on this show. But,
we're not going to have that here. This is guitars and happy times.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks for catching me up on that, man. And well, dude, I wish you the best.
Always, my brother. Same here, man.
I'll love
you,
man. Get up
man.
there at some point, and we'll have to kick it in person. And
you're going to have to come here if you want to grab one of these Infernos because they're too expensive to ship.
Fair enough, man. Those are killer guitars. I mean, you have a lot to be proud of, Frank. I mean, I just love that. You've just always been such a kind person, man, throughout my life, and always encouraging, never hypercritical. And you guys have just been so good to me, man. I always felt great being around you, man, eating Fonzel's cooking.
I told her, you're the son I always wanted.
That's very nice of you to say that, man. But man, thanks for coming on Shred Sessions. This has been a fun
dude. I'm honored. I was telling Gia when I was coming down here, I was telling her I was going to go do this podcast, and she asked what it was called. So she's been Googling it right now. I'm sure she can't wait to see what this has done. Like when I finally get to be on it.
Well, dude, thank you for doing this. I love interviewing artists and people in the local scene and up and coming bands and even bigger bands. But dude, there's something really special about just talking to the people that, when I look back on my life as a guitar player and what it means to be a musician and play guitar, it's an extra special episode to talk to somebody like you, man, and who's been such a big part of my journey. So thank you.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad I got to be a part of it. With Funzel, ever since you were the 16-year-old shredder that came here that first time, we always wondered what was going to happen with your career, right? And I remember talking at one point, I know, your dad wanted you to go to journalism school, and there was a whole bunch of, time behind that was spent that you wanted to go out and play and be on tour. But we always wondered, like, what's going to become of Drew? There's so much talent there. I remember I was talking to your dad one time, and I'm like, your son has so much natural talent, right? And your dad was being a dad. Yeah, but he's got to have a job someday, right? Because I'm thinking the exact same way right now. But I'm very encouraged that you followed that dream. When you packed up and you went with Skies on tour, and you said, I'm going on tour, and then you really never came back. You went to Nashville, right? You got in Nashville. You got plugged into the circuit. You had the chops to hang. You managed to tough it out. And I remember, Facebook posts where, you're mowing lawn during COVID because you don't want free money, right? The post you did where the lawnmower went through the back of your window and busted it all out. You put your time in.
Yeah, that was a crazy day, man. I spent about 10 hours landscaping this guy's yard, and he paid me $200, which was honestly way not enough money for what the work I did. But I moved rock across Middle Tennessee, to this egg rock to kind of landscape his property. And then as I'm pulling out of the driveway, completely exhausted, the lawnmower handle goes through, it slaps against the back window and blows it out. And it was exactly $200 to get that fixed. But funny enough, a friend of mine saw that post and sent me the exact amount of money to get it fixed. So I got it was amazing to have a friend like that do something so kind. And I've had other friends do just amazing, kind things for me. But yeah, man, I've always just been set on keeping a guitar in my hands. And
yeah, that's
maybe part of that is and it's still kind of this link to my childhood, and it's an obsession. But it's really, for over the last 10 years, just been about becoming a man, but also being a guitar player at the same time. And I've always fought against this dichotomy where it's I've even seen other people say you need to, I've grown up, I'm selling my gear, I'm going to get a regular job. And I don't fault anybody for doing that, man. People need to live, and support their family and stuff like that. But for me personally, I was willing to kind of live a more humble lifestyle as long as I got to keep playing. And what's funny is God has blessed me beyond anything I deserve or ever imagined, even for myself, what I thought I was going to have today. I have, man. And I get to do a podcast and keep shredding and playing guitar. So I'm way more blessed than I probably deserve. And so with that comes a lot of responsibility, with my time. And so I try to make the most of it, man. And I think what you have to realize, because I've been through this phase. I mean, Drew, I want you to think about how we started this podcast. I am in a 90s cover band. I started when I was your age. I'm in a cover band in Pittsburgh, only I'm playing Leonard Skinner tunes, and now I'm playing freaking Stone Temple Pilots songs. What you have to realize is, and this is kind of what a lot of people who aren't musicians don't understand this. You're a musician no matter what you're doing, right? It's never going to go away. It's in your brain. No matter what you do, that will never leave. This is the same reason that I still have, to this day, the same 4x12 cabinet that I had in 1992 when I was in LA trying to make it as a professional musician. Because at the end of the day, you're like, I just can't let it go. I can put it in a closet. I can put some stuff on top of it and put it in the corner, but sooner or later, that's going to come back out. That there's going to be phases of your life where you're in it, you're out of it. I've quit several times. I'm done. I don't ever want to do this again. I'm selling everything. Now I've got freaking an entire wall of Kramer guitars. You've got 18 Kramers.
and I still have the same cabinet I had for 35 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have to find that balance as a human. Right? Yeah. I stopped building guitars full time because I wanted to spend time with my daughter. That's part of being human. Any musician's going to tell you that. But at the same time, it's you still want to play. You still have this desire to be creative. Prior to playing in this band, I revamped my entire home studio here, and I updated all the stuff, and I got new versions of Studio One, and I recorded 10 original songs just playing down here. Just, this is a great idea. Let's see where it goes. So I went from, I'm just going to play for myself, to now I'm playing with a band. It's like I told Funzel when she asked me about this band. I go, it's a chance for me to play with my toys with my friends, right?
Yeah.
So you have an opportunity, it presents itself. I constantly tell the guys in the band, John is our drummer and Eric's our bass player. We just got this new guy, Kevin, man. He's my favorite singer.
He's a ripper, man. Yeah,
he is my favorite singer. If I could pick anybody to be in a band, it would be this guy. And he just came here about 3 months ago. But when we were doing this last year, I told John and Eric how grateful I am for the two of them. Because without them, I'm just a guy by myself, right? If I sum up the three of us together when we were just learning the songs before Kevin came along, all of us, me, John, Eric, we have enough talent to be invited to the party, but we don't have enough talent to throw the party by ourselves.
Yeah.
Together, we become the party. Well, there's something, there's some mojo between the three of us. And I am so grateful for those guys, because if any one of them just decided tomorrow, I don't want to do this anymore, then this opportunity stops. Mm-hmm. Right. It's just this little period of time we've been blessed to have. Yeah. 2 years ago, it didn't exist. 2 years ago, I was buried in my studio, taking 10-hour courses on compression for nobody but me. Right. And so but nonetheless, it's always in your brain, whether you're mowing the lawn, working on your house, that idea is always there. I am a musician, and that's what you are. And you took that gamble by going down there and doing that. And you went out and just hung out your shingle, and here you are all these years later, still doing it in Nashville. And that's the equivalent. What you're doing right now is the equivalent of when I went to Los Angeles. Los Angeles was the musical center of the world. Now it's Nashville. And here you are in that, thriving. And dude, there's something to be said for that. So kudos to you for having the balls to do that and stick it out.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's the right combination of balls and talent. you got to have both.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it's a lot safer than being into motorcycles, right? You're talking about like playing music with your boys. You're like, hey, this is
just as expensive though. Yeah, no matter what you say or do, it's just as expensive.
For sure. Yeah, like I just look at it as just it's a real blessing to be able to play music with people and to do any of this stuff with everything that's going on in the world, and that's what's so life-giving about music, is we kind of get to forget about all of the deep dark problems that are going on out there. We get to just
that's my
with our brothers.
See that, and it's really weird. That's my mindset with this new band, is just that. It's my job to take you back in time for 3 hours, right? You forget about everything else. I'm going to play that one song that, when Becky met Tommy at the swimming pool and they fell in love for the first time, they were listening to this song. It's my job to get that nostalgia feeling. It's my job to bring that back.
It's fun, man.
And the great part about playing 90s stuff, other than STP, is it's really not that hard. It's not, there's some songs I literally learn like in 3 minutes on the way to rehearsal, because Semisonic's Closing Time is one we're learning right now. And I'm like, well, there's 4 chords. You just play them for 3 minutes in the exact same order.
Fun stuff.
But it's fun.
Well, dude, I can't thank you enough. This was great.
Amen.
Frank, you're the shit. We love you. Yeah, thank you for doing what you do, man. And maybe we'll get some custom guitars here at some point in the future.
All right. I got them right here. I'm going to put them back in the closet till you show back up. You're going to have to come by for dinner if you want to grab one of these.
Okay, fair enough, man. Well, thanks a lot,
man.
dude.
All right, brother. Love you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.